here we are again.
So, well, just to pick up where we left off last week, you all in the Mirkwood Crypt, looking for presumably a basilisk, and maybe some missing people from Mirkwood itself.
We were made.
Hoping to find said basilisk and somehow procure an antidote from it for the Baroness back in Kilburn. So, I believe you had all just killed a tiny...
I think there's a map we need to be on.
Yes, tiny, relatively baby basilisk. And Graves had, I think, once again resurrected his Hand of Padine.
Yes.
Indeed,
it's a gold thing. I'll get out of the way of it.
Well, what do you guys do next? You have found evidence that there were people down here at one point very recently.
I think Bohanna might pass off the torch to Fergus. She's kind of a little bit giving an eye to her recent wound of the bite from this snakish creature. And she asks, "Do you want to take lead?"
Aye, we must hurry, though.
Yes, Fergus. They could still be alive.
Alright, so Fergus moves ahead of the group, and you begin moving your way down this long corridor.
That might be a good point, but didn't we close the door to the other room where they got the sword?
I don't think so.
Where's Graves?
Probably still back here? Yeah.
Where's it with him?
Yeah. Are you following Grace?
Might be a good choice. Hang on one second here. I'm trying to get my map zoomed in so I can actually see my icon.
Fergus, try not to continue moving on. I know everybody has a little bit of a habit of bumping forward. I'd like to get the chance to describe things, especially when we don't have everybody together.
Definitely, I remember sending the hand up north. I don't know how fast it goes, but it's probably going faster.
Yeah, so Fergus reaches this intersection. You see a partially open door ajar to your west. And as you get there, Fergus, this hand comes skittering between your legs and up towards the north, and then disappears handily around the corner.
Oh, could you, Star?
Yes, you all can see. Let me put the light on Fergus now.
As we're walking up, I'm going to actually enable my my Sunfire crossbow for the last charge, and I want to sweep the corridor to the right as we pass it, just to make sure nothing's sneaking up from us behind. Marking down, using my last charge for the day.
Yeah, so you activate the Sunfire crossbow, and you sweep it back down the way you came. You can see that at least one of the torches that you had activated on this hallway is still working, and you can see illumination coming from the room to the far east, and then from the entry corridor to the south. So those torches are still burning. You don't see anything too out of the ordinary there as you pass the corridor with your light burning.
Okay, I'm gonna try and swing it back to the north then and use it to illuminate for other people since I don't need it as badly as some. I know that the torchlight's not necessarily the best. Keep an eye out for folks. I don't know if Mirai's moving up, I just advanced a little bit. She wants to advance ahead of me with some space.
That's fine.
Alright, so Fergus, you're at this corridor. What do? There's this door that's slightly ajar to your left. You can see darkness within.
I touch a torch to this torch here. I think that's a torch. But anyway, then I go, people please, I go, Do I hear anything in particular?
Let me think about that as I light this torch. So I think you're listening and you can hear a little bit of a scrambling to your north, echoing through the northern corridor. And you can hear some like rattling of what seems to be wood. How long do you listen?
For a few moments.
Is the wood rattling coming from the north or the west?
From the north.
Here's from the
Oh,
north.
okay.
So I continue to the north. Best following up.
Fergus, do you hear something? I saw you pause for a second. I'm supposing you just kind of seeing what you're doing.
Something's from the north still.
I'm gonna nod a bit and say, you should approach cautiously then to get to the corridor. Let's get grouped up together. The corridor to the left, as we pass that, definitely keeping an eye out as we cross past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you.
See the door at the end.
Yeah, you can see just a vague bit through the door as you pass Graves. Looks to be a small room. Peeling away into the darkness, off to your now ahead of you, Fergus. You can see what looks to be a door that has been possibly ripped off its hinges, or else battered off. And beyond it, a significantly large chamber. You can see the outline of a sarcophagus directly in front of the door, but you cannot make out the dimensions of the room before you, save for the fact that it is definitely further back than several of the rooms that you've passed through at this point, and the door is definitely looks like it's been down on the ground for some time.
Door here has been burst too. We should continue.
Indeed, we should.
That was about the door to the west, right? The Graves can see.
So you start moving towards the room, and Fergus, you hear a sudden rattling of, again, pottery and what sounds like a cacophony of hissing. It sounds like, honestly, it sounds like a cat, like a cat herd, like fighting amongst each other. And you see a lot of motion from the shadows on the other side of this sarcophagi. Graves, can you please roll damage for your hand?
Oh, okay. Was that 1d4, I think, is what we decided?
I think so.
Yeah. Alright, so, I think you see. I think you see the hand flop out into view, Fergus, and in it, in the view, you can see not one, but two of these snake things. These what you can only assume to be juvenile basilisks in the process of fighting the hand. Victor, can you please, or rather, Graves, can you please roll D8 plus 1?
Ooh. Wow.
Right, your hand
Always
takes
painful.
your hand takes 8 damage.
Fortunately, I rolled max, so it's not dead. Amazingly.
It looks like it's currently wrapped up in a very vicious fight. It's scaring back and forth on the ground, and the snakes are like currently chasing it into the like back corner and starting to get out of your vision.
If I have an opportunity while they're in my vision before they leave it, I'm going to scream, "Get down!" And I'm going to try to fire a crossbow bolt at one of the snakes while it's distracted.
Okay,
I'll
you'll
push myself against the wall.
yeah. You'll have a minus 1 to this roll because of the varying obstacles in your way, including people. And the
Creatures of archery. Let me see here. Would leave me with +2. Okay, so that would leave me at +1 in total. That should be very helpful. Let me roll this. Is Fergus getting down? I guess Fergus is so short, maybe he doesn't need to go down. Fergus is naturally down.
burn.
Boy, it's my dwarfs from the front of the party, right?
Okay, rolling.
Unfortunately, you're firing at snakes, so
They're lower to the ground than Fergus is,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Ugh.
Oh,
Yeah.
I might not have hit the wall in time.
well, you specifically said that you did, but Fergus didn't say anything. Roll your damage, please, Graves.
Oh God, sorry, Fergus.
All right, so
+1 on that because it's a crossbow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fergus, you hear "get down," and you're like, "Wait, what?"
Might this be a bad time to mention you should be rolling a d10?
Oh yeah, it's one higher.
Oh yeah, that's true. Roll a d10 plus 1.
Oh, the archery does that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kick
If
ass.
if it's
nice.
higher,
I
we'll
read
we'll
that.
take that
I
dice.
forgot it did the damage boost. I'm sorry.
Well, it might be a lower roll. You might roll
If it's
one.
if it's lower, we won't take the lower roll.
Oh, there you go.
Unfortunately,
It's one higher.
Yes. So, Fergus, you hear "get down," and you're like, "Wait, what the hell?" And I think you're like turning around, like, "Wait, what are you doing?" And then you just take a crossbow bolt like directly to the ass. Like you're in the process of turning, and this thing just sinks right into your gluteus maximus, like super deep. Like this hits bone. It embeds itself in there. Do you have any piercing, Graves? I have a
don't
feeling you
think I got
probably do,
piercing
given
with-
that you're using a crossbow.
I don't think I have any piercing at all that I know of. I'm double checking. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any piercing.
The crossbow does +1 damage, I think. Not
Okay.
piercing.
All right, so you got this crossbow bolt sticking out of your ass, and this horrible pain just coming from behind. And I think, Bohana, you're like you're flattened up against the wall, and you like look over, and you can see this growing red stain on the back of Fergus's trousers,
ass.
where there's like 6 inches of bolt sticking out. of his ass. Fergus, how do you react to getting
Just gonna
shot in the
win.
ass?
I
This
think
is like a shot that
I
could kill a
leap
normal
that way and
person.
go, aye!
Oh, so you run into the room?
Yeah.
Okay, so Fergus uses this as impetus to charge in the room. And I think maybe we hear a very low, very deep hissing sound as Fergus's booted feet tromp over the doorway and he enters the room. And suddenly, several things are now visible.
To Fergus. Oh Christ.
Oh, shite.
I have a feeling the size might be off.
No,
No?
it's not.
You
So
can't roll any
Fergus,
for wishful thinking.
you rush in here, and I think you're looking around and you hear this. It's you like, I think you start to turn and look into the corner as this giant thing rises up in the back, and I'm gonna switch pages for a second.
Dear God. That's ugly.
Oh, that's
You
terrifying.
you see this gigantic serpent, at least 8 or 9 feet long. It's hard to tell given how coiled it is, but it's very, very thick indeed. It's probably longer than that, to be honest. It's probably thick around enough to swallow a gnome or maybe a halfling.
Gulp.
And
Maybe a dwarf.
it looks like it's covered in thick, dark scales. Like it's almost armor plated, and it's got these kind of fan-like fins up behind its head that it extends as it's hissing at you, and you can see its eyes. Its eyes like narrowing in your direction. As we switch back to the other page. And I think at that, Fergus, it darts forward and lunges for your body with
I
its
attempt to
face.
intercept it with me blade. That's all I can really do.
You have a shield, just saying.
Fergus's first instinct is obviously to hack
Stab
with
it.
with his blade. Yeah, so I guess defy this danger with strength to see if you can beat it back. All right, yeah. So I think you smack it across the face, and it hisses and topples backwards. You hear like a shuddering cracking sound as it smacks into one of the sarcophagi. And as that happens, you hear more hissing sounds from the room.
We're still not acting in initiative, right? Or are we in initiative?
No, this is not an initiative game.
There's no initiative in this game. I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask Mirai what she's going to do since she's been the one that hasn't gotten shot in the ass, or throwing
Okay, so
herself
the
up
twist.
against the wall.
I was probably say that I'd probably take my bow out and I go like, "Hey, we need to help Fergus. Come on, don't just stand there." I don't think I could get past 2 people. That seems kind of.
You could do it. If you
You're
want
small.
to do it, like quickly enough to like get in there. You're small enough. You honestly wouldn't have to make a dex check. You could just squeeze right through there. If it was somebody else, you'd have to. But
I'm all for helping Fergus. I'll probably go up this way. Oh god, there's more than I thought.
Time to blot out the sun.
Oh, and I suddenly love the $20 a month I'm spending on dynamic lighting.
Well,
All
I
right.
can only see like the middle corner of the room.
Yeah, so there are
Yeah.
lots.
I can see the egg pile.
Yep.
and that-
That's
Yeah.
why Fergus is going, oh, shite.
Yep. So Mirai rushes into the room and skids to a halt, her eyes growing wide, and I think a raptor on her back starting to like squirm within its sack.
Raptor versus Baby Basilisk. Go! Oh, sorry.
Graves and Bohana, I think probably Bohana, since all you've done is thrown yourself up against the wall.
What I'm doing actually with Bohana might be appropriate for me to act at the same time. I don't know necessarily.
Let's hear it.
I want to raise my Saturday crossbow out. I'm going to raise it and put it right to almost the back of Bojana's head, and I'm going to use the shadow cast by Bojana to jump as far as I can into the opposite side of the room.
Ooh.
Oh, that's actually very very creative.
I like you. So where are you jumping to?
Far back as I can jump into the room off of the shadow. I don't know where that would be.
Yeah, you'd end pretty much on top of the sarcophagus right there.
Yeah, that's totally
There's
fine
an
by
urn
me.
Yeah,
right
so-
there. It looks convenient for a shadow.
Yep. You just appear.
And I would like to charge forward, leap over the shorter goblin's head and roll behind the sarcophagus here, using
what
it as
am
a
I,
shield.
vaulting horse?
Exactly, and guard Fergus's flank on his south side.
Okay, so you go like back to back.
Well, kind of. He's up above, kind of on the sarcophagus, and I'm like kneeling down, facing southward, probably southeasterly, with all those guys over there.
All right, Fergus, you've briefly beaten back this basilisk creature. And
I continue.
you can see a plethora of smaller creatures starting to move their way about the room, and start to close in on you and your companions. What do you do, Fergus?
I wish to chop at thy beast's head with me axe and roll 10+.
Okay, so you're gonna use your true strike.
I'm gonna use True Strike.
Okay, all right, roll damage.
Oh,
Every
dear
time.
God.
Every time. Oh no. So yeah, I think you have the beast momentarily stunned and you rush forward.
It
and I
is
think,
+2 piercing, but yeah.
Good. That's good. You'll do your full 4 damage then.
Nice.
So a whole 50% more damage. All right.
I don't suppose
Fergus,
basilisks are closely related dragonkin. I'm obligated to ask.
Probably not.
they're not. I briefly considered it, but I can't consider all snakes dragonkin. I think maybe your
Just
axe,
like it, like just the tip of its nose instead of.
your axe is like so faintly glowing that you can't even really tell. Like if all the lights were out in the room, you might be able to see it's like very faintly. Like it's a cousin of dragonkin. So you jump up onto the sarcophagi and you dive off, hurling yourself towards it. You wield your axe up into there and you bring it down right onto its nose, and it hisses, and your axe sinks deeply into its nose.
It just sneezes me off.
Yeah, and then I think it bats you off, like maybe just probably back, like backwards. It just like it kind of butts you backwards.
You be a big one, don't you?
Yeah. Bohana, there are 2 of these things rapidly approaching you.
Yes, I want to try to.
How do you deal with the danger of these? As they like you ran right into the room, and these things were apparently already kind of in the
Starting
process
ahead.
of closing in on Fergus, and you just kind of like ran in front of them. And you know how snakes get, like when they're surprised, they just bite out at the nearest thing.
Gotcha. Let's see. I'm defying danger, or I get to like attack them.
You're defying danger. You can probably, if you can do this, I'll still give you an action, depending on how you end up after this. But yeah, these things are already essentially moving into your area, and these things are moving very quickly. Is the real problem? Like, you know, people talk about Viper Strike. Well,
Yep.
these are basilisks, and they're very fast.
Quick too. Okay, I want to probably pounce up on top of the sarcophagus behind me here, and then, if I can, just swipe away at them as they're trying to come up there towards me.
So, like, kind of jump up there and beat them back.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, this sounds like another strength to me. Like, just basically kind of like swatting them back away with your sword.
Damn it.
Oh no! All right, so you
Oh.
jump up onto the sarcophagus, and you'll notice that there's a couple bowls up here. You land on one of them, and your foot slips, and you essentially skateboard off of the back, over the side, and tumble into the other basilisk, the mama basilisk.
God.
And oh no! So at least you're not in danger of the smaller snakes anymore.
No.
But this one, I think it's very surprised by your sudden falling on it, and it starts to wrap itself about you. It doesn't really have time to bite you. Like it. That's the one thing that you guys have going for you is you're actually a little bit too close in some circumstances for it to bite you, and it goes ahead and just wraps you instead. Mirai,
I
you see
want
this
to,
happen.
Yeah, I see it happening, but I'm very concerned about the large numbers of smaller basilisks at the moment. So I leap up on top of this here crypt. I want to use Blot Out the Sun against the 4 basilisks at the bottom of the room. Emptying
Okay,
one of
yeah.
my quivers in the process.
Yeah, you can see 2 of them are like currently picking apart the Padine's hand. Like one of them's sunk its fangs deep into his thumb.
Is it Skelly Bro hand now?
No, because it looks like it's alive.
Nice.
That's a roll.
Here comes the damage. Bets, my past history tells me.
Yes. Roll an eight.
Oh, that's not bad.
Not bad. So 5 damage to each.
Thunk.
Chunk, 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 chunk. You fire an arrow at each of one of these things, and one of them just gets pinned flat out to the ground. The other 3 all take severe strikes, mostly being impaled, and they do not look like they're in good shape at all. One of them takes the arrow, and I think it probably like goes right through its head, and you're just like not sure how it could still be surviving. Like it must be down an eye or something.
Boy, I wish to stand in defense of Lohana.
Okay, yeah. So how do you intend to defend Bohana when she's already wrapped up?
Just by standing near her and like chopping into the creature if I can whenever she gets tensed to maybe it'll release it somewhat.
Well, defense is not really like based on her actions.
Well, okay.
The thing is, this creature is capable of attacking more than one person at a time. It's like the thing is, it's essentially an ongoing attack against Bohanna. I don't really think defend would work in this situation, to be honest. We let defend work in a lot of situations. I think honestly, it's too late for defense in this case. You might have to think of something else. Like, you can certainly still do something, but I think it's a case of where she's already under attack.
I guess I'll just hack into it with my axe then.
All right, yeah. So you're gonna try
To be honest, I was trying to get the 10 damage from defense because it was more reliable than the axe. But
Yes, I figured.
Hey, your next roll, you might max.
Ooh, that's a good roll. Roll damage.
6.
Well, no, he didn't max.
All right, so I think you bat into this thing again with a very hearty blow. This one gouges a deep furrow in the snake's or the basilisk's upper body, and it hisses and it begins to pull back with Bohanna. Bohanna, while this is happening, you are being constricted. How do you defy this danger?
I would think that there was a small swamp area up by where I was that I patrolled occasionally, and I have seen constrictor snakes. And one thing I know about them is they tend to squeeze anything that is kind of fighting against them. So I'm going to expel my breath, hold it, and play dead. So he thinks that I'm no longer a threat that he needs to squeeze.
This sounds like intelligence.
Which could be awfully bad because that's my worst stat. So
Yeah.
Or it just takes all of the breath that you just
Yes.
expelled and crushes.
uses it against me. Yes. Oh God.
Oh god.
Okay, so
You had
Bohanna,
to consider the basilisk
can you-
is not over.
yeah, can you roll D10 with advantage? All right, I should rather say disadvantage in your case.
Yes. That's probably the 8.
Okay, yeah. So you take 8 crushing damages. This thing, I think you start to try to go limp in its embrace, and it takes the opportunity to crush you even more, like to make sure you're dead. And you can feel ribs popping, your breath. I think at this point, it's not even just the damage. You decided to hold your breath and try to play dead, and it's basically constricted around your diaphragm now, and it's pushed all of the air out of your lungs, and now you really are suffocating to death.
Mm-hmm. Would my chainmail help at all in this, or is it just negating that?
It is physical damage. Sort of.
We'll say it helps with it, even though it doesn't make a whole lot of sense given that chainmail is not rigid, but it's giving you some layer of protection.
Alrighty. And then are either of my arms free, or am I completely wrapped up on this thing?
I think as a result of the 4, you might have a single arm partially free, but it might not be your weapon arm
It's
at
my
this
shield
point.
arm. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think your shield could easily be wrapped up. So, Graves, we get to you. You can see Bohanna being
Crushed.
to death. You can see Mirai firing arrows at half of these things. But even as all that is happening, 2 of these things are slithering up the sarcophagi. One of them wraps itself around your leg and rears its head back to sink its fangs into your leg. And the other one, you notice slithering up onto the sarcophagus behind you, preparing probably to do a very similar thing. What do you do? How do you defy this danger?
Out of curiosity, is shadow jumping a full action, or would that be a partial action?
That would be your full turn.
Understandable. Oh boy, this is going to be a hard call, but I see everything happening. I see those two rolling around me, and I'm just probably just thinking to myself, I'm going to have to take it. I'm going to scream out to the hand, "Go for the traps!" And then I'm going to turn to the Stone Venom Basilisk, and without saying a word in my mind, I am going to call upon the shadows for help. I want to try to roll Sever at a -1 because I have an ongoing spell, so this could be ugly.
What does Sever do?
I do want to ask what I can target with this. It's the thing that
Like Sever normally removes a limb.
Yeah, it usually removes the limb. I'm hoping to remove the tail or above the tail of the main basilisk. Largest one that's got Bojana right now.
Okay. So you're not going to defy the danger.
I am not going to defy the danger. I'm going to let those things.
All right. Well, let's deal with that first. So you
nasty.
you decide to take all this and raise your hand to sever this thing's tail. Can you please roll D8 plus 1 with advantage?
Absolutely.
Oh wow, you rolled well.
That's
You only take 4 damage as both snakes or both basilisk young bite you. Although one of them is actually wrapped around your leg and has sunk its teeth into your thigh at this point.
They have
Yep.
piercing.
No. You do feel a burning in your leg though.
Oh yeah, antitoxins are coming out in about 2 seconds flat.
So about Sever. I'll read this out.
I'm not sure what you would view as valuable targets before I choose the final one.
Choose an appendage of the on the target, such as an arm, tentacle, or wing. Tail would.
That's vaguely tentacle-ish.
Yeah, but the thing is, with a snake, like, where does the tail separate from the main body?
Snakes
Like, you could
continue
just
to
cut it in
move
half
without
with
their
that.
tail. I was thinking a little bit about it. It's kind of unfortunate. If there's a better target, I might take it.
The appendage is magically severed from their body, causing no damage but considerable pain. Missing an appendage may, for instance, keep a winged creature from flying or a bull from goring you with its horns. I think what you can do with this is you could potentially sever the lower end of its body that's closest to Bohana and potentially free her. Yeah.
I wasn't going for like severing it right down the middle or anything. I'm trying to take its tail out, hopefully cause it a lot of.
Well, I mean,
pain
you
slash-
feasibly can't do that, so. Yeah, go. Let's see here. Go ahead and roll Sever.
Oh God, here we go. This is a scary one. I can't choose to get the spell either because it's from my memory stone, and I'm at a -1.
Good roll.
Nice.
Yes.
All right, so Graves, what does it look like when you cast Sever?
I think that essentially the shadows that probably fill this room may actually find themselves suddenly shooting out small razor-thin tentacles around the snake's lower tail, and then it just pulls up right off of its body.
Yeah, so it lets out this snake-like hissing roar of pain. It flinches and recoils like a rope, flinging itself away from Bohana. Bohana, you're left there in like the ruins of its severed tail. Mirai, you're up on top of here, and 2 of these basilisks are slithering towards you. They have not. I think one of them is just getting to the base of the sarcophagus, and the other one is swiftly approaching as well. You can see the hand is still fighting with one of them. You can tell that these basilisks are going to be on you any second if you don't do something.
I reach behind me, open my pack, and say, "Get them, Flux!"
Oh boy! So yeah, you loose the raptor into the room.
I do.
All right, so we don't have a token for him yet. We will we'll
Let me
use
get
this
a-
for now.
Okay, green. Yeah, that works.
Not sure if the hand's gonna listen to my commands or not. Poor thing.
The hand has no idea what you're talking about. Go for the traps, because there's no traps in this room. So Mirai, how does your creature work? It's been a long time since we've used him. I think it's when you attack with your creature,
think
you
I
get
have
to
to
add your
actually
ferocity
attack
to your
someone.
damage.
Yeah, I think so.
think
I
that's how it
mean,
works.
let's see here. Command: when you attack the same target, adds ferocity to your damage. It's also trained in how to fight monsters, so it can certainly do that. It doesn't say that that's like a specifically different role. So
It's not really for this. It's kind of making sense to me because it's like, oh, there's multiple weak little basilisks. Perfect prey for a little hunting training raptor.
yeah. So do you want to just like roll your like your order for him to do what you want and see what he does?
Yeah.
Like to see if he understands what you want him to do. Yeah. Why don't you give me a charisma roll then?
I have a 7.
Okay, so I think he will do what you want, but he will place himself in in unseen danger because of it. He's very eager to do what you want, and he's not really thinking things through. So he leaps off of the sarcophagus and starts just like tearing at these things. He grabs one and I think slashes it with his hind claws. It rears back and tries to bite him, and he just dodges out of the way. And like he has done this many times before, apparently, he slices its neck open with his claw and then like pounces on it with his jaws, and takes one out. But while that happens, he's very oblivious to the other one, which comes up behind him, and bites him. And the raptor howls in pain as you see this thing latching onto its back. Do you do anything else? You have like a very small window of opportunity to act here.
I pull my stiletto and throw it at the other one.
Ooh, okay, give me a volley roll. That's a good volley roll. That's not so good on the damage.
It does
It
have
is
one
good.
piercing, if that makes a difference.
So yeah, you throw your dagger, your stiletto, and it sticks into this thing's tail. It goes, and the snake coils backwards, flipping briefly away from the raptor, which begins to split into two. One of the two looks like it's got like an already swollen shoulder, and it's kind of like limping off to the side. The other one starts flanking around behind the snake. Fergus, we get to your turn, and this thing is flailing about violently. It is lashing out in pain, and I think like maybe before you were going to have to worry about like a tiny basilisk going at you. Now it is if you've seen a barbarian in like a berserker rage, that is essentially what this basilisk is doing. Having had its tail severed off and is in incredible pain. It flails about. I think it smashes an entire sarcophagus just flat. You can hear the crunching of stone. It flips about again, and I think you're forced to dodge as it smashes part of the central sarcophagi. And then it rears back, and you can see it opening its jaws like widthwise, like almost like an alligator, and you can see its giant head going right for you.
I tend to block it with my shield.
Okay. Yeah, give me a Yeah, we've typically done shield is con. So yeah, go with con. Nice. So yeah, I think the basilisk rears up ahead of you, and you shove your shield up,
You
and
might
it
be
actually
a
wedges
bigger
the mouth.
one, but you not
like
match the strength of a dwarf.
Yeah, and like you actually wedge the thing's mouth like open, and it's like it's like right in front of you. Can you feel this horrid breath over you, and its venom is like just dripping down onto the ground. It's like looking at you over the shield with these like frenzied eyes. What do you do, Fergus?
I chop it in the face, right between its frenzied eyes.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'll click that once. The 11.
Okay.
I mouse clicked twice.
Still a success.
That's a little bit better.
Yeah, getting better.
Yep. So Fergus, this thing is essentially like just trying to gnaw on your shield, even though it doesn't really have teeth, and it's trying to rip your shield away. How do you kill it?
So it has its gnawing on my shield, and my axe just buries deeply between its eyes, and it collapses in death.
Yep, that it does.
Oh, that poor basilisk put up less of a fight than I thought. Nice.
And
Fergus did like 20 damage.
Fergus is friggin' badass. He certainly ripped that thing up bad. Holy shit.
And you ripped it apart with shadow blade.
Yeah.
things.
Bohanna, you are no longer entangled.
I want to try to get up, and I see somewhat nearby-ish. There's 3 of these damn snakes. 2 of them around Memon. I think one's even wrapped around his leg.
Yeah.
Is the other one's not on him bodily yet, right? It's kind of
Nope, it's just but like behind him.
Okay, I'm gonna try to strike at as many of these things as I possibly can, going from the 2 that are not on him first, and then if I can get to the one that's on him without hopefully hurting him too much. Depending on my roll.
Yeah. You can try to make an attack against all 3. It's going to be a -1 for each additional one because they're in different places, and one of them's actually behind Graves, so it's going to be kind of a tricky maneuver to get to him.
Okay, so probably
-2.
Probably just the 2 then that aren't on him.
Okay.
So that would be a -1 then. So -1 to this. Dear God.
So I think you slice at this one right next to you, and it ducks down beneath your blade, and it like tries to bite your hand, and it moves inordinately quickly, and you're forced to back up against the sarcophagi as it slithers towards you, and you're backing up further and further, and you slip on one of these eggshells, and you fall down onto your back, and this thing just takes the chance, and it coils up, slithers up on top of your torso, and then sinks its teeth down into your side. Can you roll a d8?
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, seven damage. As it just bites poor Bohanna, who's not having a good day.
No, not at all.
Graves, you've got these things all over you. You see Bohanna go down, and there's suddenly like a basilisk on top of her. You see Fergus, what looks to be, take out the actual basilisk. What are you doing, Graves?
Out of curiosity, what's the situation between the hand and this snake here at the moment?
You know, I actually have a question for you. You buried something in one of the hand, right?
Yes, a pile or a potion of Tsuji, which is the poorly acting one, but it makes a sleeping effect.
Okay.
Original
Give
plan
me a
large
2d6 real quick.
Sure thing.
Okay.
That was an awful roll.
Don't take XP for that.
Yeah,
Now,
I figured that's what I was doing.
we'll do a damage exchange between it and the hand. Do a D4 and then a D8. So yeah, you dish out 4 damage to this thing, and I think, and you take 6. Is the hand still up?
Nope, -3.
They both kill each other. So I think what happens is the hand climbs into this thing's mouth and chokes it, as its venom finally takes hold and solidifies the hand in its throat, and they just kill each other.
Oh, I'll have to bury the solidified hand.
But you've got a snake wrapped around your leg, a basilisk wrapped around your leg, like injecting venom into your leg, and you have one curling up behind you, ready to strike.
Yeah, I'm going to grab out my shield, even if I have to drop my crossbow at the second. I don't know. It'll probably take too long to put it away. I can get it later. I'm going to take my large shield, the rounded shield out, and I'm going to scream, "We need one alive!" I'm going to see if I can try to hit it with not the front side of the shield, but the underside of the shield, the one that's on me. And I want to try to pin it under the shield.
So the one that's on you.
The one that's on me, yeah. I'm gonna try to hit it, bring the shield down like a shield
To
bag.
scrape scrape it off and get it underneath the shield.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna try to see if I can contain it here.
Okay.
While I'm taking it off.
This doesn't sound like an attack so much as a strength check to try to trap it beneath the shield and get it off of your
I
leg.
completely agree. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes complete sense.
All right. Give me a strength roll.
8.
All right. So you're able to get this thing off of your leg, but when that happens, it falls off of the sarcophagus. Fortunately, not on Bohanna, and you're forced to I think make a decision at this point. You can see it down there. Briefly stunned from the blow you gave to its head. You think if you jump down there, you can land with the shield out and potentially trap it down there. You think this as you feel the second snake biting into the back of your calf muscle. And I think you're turning around to look at this thing, and you catch sight of Bohanna on the ground. And this snake is already bit her in the side, and it's now working its way up to her neck, and it looks like she's still out of sorts from the fall and all of the bite, the biting and the struggling she's undergone. Your choice is you could try to take the snake alive, or you could help Bohanna, who looks like she's about to get bit again.
You know what? I'm just going to scream out as loud as I can while I go for the take the snake alive option. Fergus! Hopefully he'll catch sight of what's going on, but we need the snake alive or this whole mission's for naught. So I'm
Okay,
gonna
so
go
yeah,
for
you-
take the snake alive.
Roll a d8 as you fling yourself at the snake. Oh, that's good. You only take 1 point of damage from the snake that bites you from the rear, as it continues to slither
hits my
after you.
armor and, like,
Yep.
hits my armor a bit.
No actual damage. Mirai, you watch your raptors doing like a little dance about this thing. One of the raptors does not look like it's in good shape at all. It looks like it's starting to slow down, and its shoulder is like starting to definitely starting to swell up. The other one is like making its way around behind it, and they're currently engaged in miniature Mortal Kombat. Things are going very chaotically in the rest of the room, Mirai. What do you do?
See. I think. How does the concussion work? Is there a save against it, or is it just like?
There is if I determine, like, if you're shooting a dragon or something, but on these things, no.
Yeah.
You would be reasonably assured that there would not be a save.
Yeah, I'm being some more concerned about the little things are small. I wouldn't think they would maybe get one, but my allies in the area who I'm concerned about.
Well, you did just knock out those bandits like they were nothing. Bandits are still not quite up to seasoned adventurer status, so depending on their situation, I'd give them Defy Danger with potential, like, penalties if they're currently, being piled on by snakes or something. Or, being repeatedly injected with snake venom.
Right. So, I suppose I will use an Arrow of Seeking against the one who's on Bajana then.
Oh, that's a interesting call.
Yes, I don't think I roll for it. I think it's just damage, right?
Oh, this arrow, once fired, homes in on its target relentlessly until it finds its mark. It cannot miss, although its flight can be interfered with. If your enemy has a weak spot known to you, the arrow finds it and ignores any armor the target has. So yeah, just roll damage. As you pull the seeking arrow out and you fire it off, I think this thing is rearing up in front of your face, Bohana, and all of a sudden this arrow comes out of nowhere and like just flies straight through it, and knocks it right off of you, killing it.
Nice.
Fergus Meadhammer of Clan Meadhammer.
It was a
There
good
is-
shot, Mirai, and then I hack at this little one in front of me.
Yep. You wanna try to like boot it away and
I boot it
slice
with
it
my.
and
I boot it and then like slice it with pinning it against the sarcophagus behind it.
it dances back and forth, trying to dodge out of the way.
Oh shit!
Oh,
Oh,
It
wait!
suc-
This is True Strike X. It hits on a 2.
oh yeah.
Does it auto hit or does it
Think of it.
roll again?
It does. It does something on a 2. I remember that one.
It does something on it too.
Treat a 7 to 9 instead.
Okay.
You roll minimum on attack, roll 1 plus 1, treat it as 7 to 9.
There you go. Yep. On a hack and slash. Yep. That's pretty great. If you would ever roll minimum. So yeah, it's a partial success. I think you step on the door and it squeaks and it slides across the stone, and you lose your footing. But the axe just remains true, and it sinks into this thing even as it wraps itself around your arm and sinks its fangs into you. Why don't you roll a d8 for its damage, and go ahead and roll your damage as well. All right, only 4. I don't think that gets through Fergus's tank. Fergus, on the other hand, splits this thing like a fish, and
Nice.
and you were wondering why the if you ever roll double ones on that thing was even bothered in there. I remember that comment being specifically there. Yeah, you gut this thing and it falls to pieces right in front of you.
And Fergus goes, "I love me axe."
I love me axe.
Yeah, he does.
There's only a few left.
Who does what? The snakes are currently, one snake is currently trapped beneath a shield.
I want to try to get up and
Somebody give me a hand with this.
slaughter that one that's trapped beneath the shield. I'll chop its head off if I can.
Oh, okay. All right.
Kind of
That'll
work my
be-
way around the sarcophagus.
Yeah,
Oh,
that'll
he's
be no
not
problem.
in
You
position
could
for
just
that.
roll over and crawl on your hands and knees towards it with your sword, and
I was trying to stop her from doing this because I'm trying to take
you
it alive.
you can interfere. There is an interfere roll. Roll plus your bonds with Bohanna.
I don't think I have any with her yet. Let me see. I was going to make one with her this session. Let me double check. Yeah, I haven't made any with her yet.
Roll flat then.
Why are you trying to do this?
So,
So -2 to my roll.
let me see how this works specifically on an interfere.
It's -2, I think, on an interfere.
Yeah, but it's a partial.
Then he's subject to any
Yeah.
danger.
I'm just seeing if it's any different. Yep. Yeah, so I think you raise the shield up to try to bat her out of the way, and you actually expose yourself to danger from the snake if in fact there is some danger. Bohanna, you get a -2 on your roll. Give me a hack and slash.
So that's a 6.
All right, so you both get bit. I think what happens is Graves gets bit on the back of the neck by the snake that he's been ignoring this entire time, that's been repeatedly trying to bite him. And Bohanna, you get bit by the one that
He's trying to strike at.
yeah, that you're trying to strike at. You manage to scramble and knock the shield away, and as soon as it does, it just flies at you. And
I thought the
I think
one
you-
that was behind me landed on Bojana and was killed by an arrow. I only see the one. I just trying to.
No,
you
the
had
one
one
that's
there.
over here.
Victor, do you see these two right here?
No. I only see one that has a red X on it up there.
There's one right on top of you that's been there the whole time.
Oh, that's why they were under my icon. Okay.
No, they weren't.
now I
It's
see.
been behind you the whole time.
Victor, I'm seeing it as your icon being beneath them, so I don't know what you were
Right
seeing.
when you moved them, they popped up for me. I didn't see them before that. I don't know what happened.
Weird.
I see them.
They've
They're
been
still under my icon,
They've been
but
completely
they're
visible
like
the whole time, from what I can see.
they're on my end. They're partially visible. I can see a quarter of them poking. out.
Refresh
All
your
right, well,
screen.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I
for-
know they're there now.
I noticed that too. For your own icon, it's above, because I couldn't, the one that has the X on it up here, it was never visible to me. I knew it was there, but it was never visible to me because I was above
Okay,
it.
that's good to know. It's good to
So
know.
this thing flies at Bohanna's face, and she manages to get her hand up in time, but it latches on and sinks its
To my
venom
hand.
into your hand.
So already part of my
Graves-
body doesn't have venom flowing through it.
Graves, can you give me a D8 with advantage, because this thing
God.
this thing has been ignored this entire time, and it now has a spot on the back of your neck. All right, so 5 damage. to the back of your neck. That's this thing like it's like the worst horsefly ever.
Graves is gonna scream out, "We need it alive!" Like, beyond puzzled is hoping some people will come to his aid, but not much he can do past that.
All right, Mirai. I think you see the rear raptor jump up on top of the basilisk, and it's like this mini dinosaur fight playing out before you. It jumps up on top of the basilisk. The basilisk turns to try to bite it, and the wounded raptor looked like it was playing off its wounds much more severely this entire time. It suddenly is no longer sluggish. It darts forward and like slices this thing's belly open with its claws, and then sinks its fangs deep into its throat and starts ripping it apart. And they both just start tearing this thing to shreds.
Okay, that's fine. I suppose I move over toward Graves' one then. And
Yeah, there's currently one like. Bohanna's flailing about with this thing like attached to her hand, and then Graves has one attached to the back of his neck.
I think I take a thick canvas sack out of my adventuring gear, and I try to capture one of them inside of it.
Which one?
Wrap it around my arm.
I think the one on Graves' neck is more accessible.
Okay.
I think he sprawled himself out on the floor. Is that right?
Yeah, he is sprawled. They're technically both sprawled out on the floor, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The one on their
on
hand is
top
like
of-
waving about and would be probably difficult to actually
Yeah.
domesticate.
I probably got my body like partially laying on this shield, trying to keep this thing underneath it right now, or at least mostly laying on the shield.
It's not trapped at all, Victor. Like I just described, it's now attached to Bohanna.
I thought it
So,
was, like, reaching out from under the shield, biting her. I didn't realize it was actually out completely.
no, you compromise the shield when you try to interfere.
Yeah, that's what got us bit. Is you moving the
Yeah.
shield to glance my blow.
Oh, you shouldn't have attacked it. I don't know why.
So,
Yeah.
so Mirai, give me a dex roll, please. Okay, good. You managed to successfully grab up the one that's on Graves' back and stuff it in the sack without it biting you. You see like a pair of fangs come through the sack, just like a couple inches beneath your hand, and I think you almost dropped the sack, but you really quickly like tighten the end of the sack and like hold it away from you.
I should have picked a thicker canvas sack, it seems. I've got one, kill the rest!
Yeah, so Mirai's over here, like basically straddling Graves, getting this snake off of him, and Bohanna, what do you do with this snake that's attached to your hand? This basilisk.
Which hand is it attached to? My shield hand or my?
I think
Weapon
probably your weapon hand. Like you had your weapon hand extended to slice at this thing, and it attacked the closest thing.
Alrighty, I'm gonna drop to my knee and put my hand down that it's on onto the ground and use my shield, the edge of the shield, to just kind of sever its friggin' head.
Awesome. Can you give me a I think this is. You can do this, but you're going to have to defy danger with Constitution at a
Okay.
-1.
Alrighty, here we go. See how bad I can roll today. Oh my
Oh
god!
no!
Wow.
Oh no! It's like when I play your campaign, except a
Yeah.
little bit worse.
Yeah, it's worse.
But we've both been bit by snakes in each campaign.
well, you
so-
just once.
Yeah. Well, it was a big snake.
True.
And it was doing half of my hit points in poison damage. So Bohanna, I think you get down, like you put your hand down there, and you get down on one knee, and you're about to like bash this thing's head off when you suddenly feel extremely lightheaded, and when you look back, it looks like there's 3 snakes attached to your arm, and then you realize like there's 2, and then there's only 1, and then there's 4, and you're having really weird double, triple vision. You look over, and Graves is starting to stand up, and there's suddenly 2 of him. How much worse can this situation get? And then you just fall over, and Bohanna passes out.
God.
Oh dear.
Fergus, I think you see Bohanna just like fall over, and the snake detaches from her arm.
You're muted.
Fergus?
Well, what if I wasn't muted? I rush over and attempt to kill the creature that has dropped Bohanna by crushing it beneath my dwarven boot.
Dwarven boot,
Yep.
boot check here.
Yep.
Let's go.
Gotta get that curb stomp check.
Oh damn!
Dear God.
Well, I also impress, dismay, or frighten my enemy.
Let's see if he's alive to be impressed, dismayed, or frightened. Give me a damage roll.
No, as the boot falls, he goes like, yeah.
I think you managed to impress, dismay, and frighten Graves and Mirai as you just like. I think what happens is Fergus rages in like right over here. He brings his boot down again and again and again. Long after this snake is this basilisk is dead, there's just and there's just blood and guts flying everywhere, splattering the side of Bohanna's face. Who unfortunately can't notice it because she's passed out, and I think like Fergus is just like die, and it takes like 30 seconds for him to work it out of his system, and you're both like thoroughly impressed and maybe a little dismayed with his dwarven curb stomping, as there's like thoroughly nothing left of the upper half of the snake.
I think that the very first thing that I'm going to do, as soon as it looks like things are clear for a second, I'm going to make sure Mirai looks like she's okay, but I'm going to pop an antitoxin immediately, and then I'm going to suggest everyone consider popping an antitoxin that was bitten as well, and I'll go over and check on Bojana, and even before I check on Bojana, I'm going to check on Mirai and ask if is it contained.
It's in the sack, but its fangs are sharp enough to get through it.
And I think you can actually see she's holding it up, and the 2 raptors are down beneath the sack, jumping at it and like trying to bite at the bottom of the sack.
Hey, now enough of that. You can eat the others if you want, just don't eat the heads.
I think they run off and they start munching on.
Fergus kind of kneels over Bojana and like, "Wake up, girl!" and just, like touches her face with a hand with my balance.
She is very warm to the touch.
She must have been bitten. She doesn't feel too hot. I should say she feels too hot. I should say.
Yeah, like she must have been bitten. You say as you look over, and I think you can see like multiple puncture wounds over her entire body, pretty much, with like blood leaking
Jesus,
out.
Girl.
I'm immediately tossing
By
an
morning,
antitoxin
girl.
to Fergus so he can give it to her.
I guess I
And,
administer an antitoxin while using a balance. But, yeah.
I'm going to look in my adventuring gear if I might have something. I grabbed a fresh load off our horse before we came in. If I might have something that'd be sturdy enough to contain this until we can get back to the cages I have set up outside.
You don't still have any of those traps, then that'd be really handy about now.
I have 1 sticky mat left with no cage. That might impair its mobility, but we can't really
Well, it's in the
reach our
bag,
hand
so,
in there to stick it on right now, so that's not going to help. The cages are back the other way. Do I have anything that might be heavier in my sack to try to?
Do you?
My adventuring gear. Would that be appropriate, or would it be?
Well, that's why I went for the canvas.
Well,
That's
you
the
could
biggest thing I could
technically. I think you could technically have another cage in your adventuring gear, maybe.
No, I might have like instead of a cage, I might have like a chain link sack in my adventuring gear that might be for containing things that are like heavily, needing extra protection or extra. I'm sure there's something like that, right? A reinforced sack.
A ring mail sack.
Pretty much, yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. Something like that that's meant for sensitive objects.
Well, if you had a chain coif, you could put the sack in it.
Those have holes in them, typically.
Well,
let me see here.
that's the thing that people put over their heads like a helmet.
So you feed Bohanna this antitoxin. She downs most of it. You're able to get most of it into her mouth. She remains unconscious.
I have the solution. I see urns. I put the sack in one of the urns. For now.
Ta-da!
Just gonna dump the remains of the poor bastard that was there.
Assuming it's empty. I don't think they're all full.
Yeah, you go over to one of the urns. It looks like you can see the desiccated remains of some flowers.
Yeah, if it's just flowers, I just dump the flowers out and put the bag in there then.
The flowers shed a single tear.
They've been dried and dead for a long time.
Look to Bojana and I'll say that I'll bring her back to town with me, but first I need to gather as much as I can. I'm going to pull out another sack, just a regular sack out of my adventuring gear, and I'm going to try to collect all the.
You're reaching through your bag and your hand bumps against something like hard, and for a brief moment you get. By the 7 dead lords, nearly done in by a serpent. What sort of master have I found myself with now? And then, like, your hand moves by, and it, like the train of thought just cuts off.
That's great. As soon as I grab the sack, I'm going to start collecting all of the dead basilisks, and I'm going to go over to the large one, and I'm going to attempt to carve its venom sac out and take that with me as well.
So yeah, you go over to the large basilisk, and you can see that the raptors are just like munching away at this thing, and
they get larger with every bite. No.
Like I think you walk over, and one of the raptors turns to you and looks for a moment, and then you can see its belly is a little bit distended. It just belches like.
Just be glad they're not eating the venom.
He does not seem to be waking up.
So you want to try to extract this thing's venom sac, huh?
I want to extract its venom sac. I'm going to use the blade on the end of my polearm so I can keep my distance while I do it. In case there's some sort of a spray or puncture. I don't want to be hit with it.
I think this probably sounds like a roll with intelligence.
Fergus steps back
To
to
see if you know exactly where the venom sac on a basilisk is, and precisely what else not to cut on a basilisk.
I will note I made sure to tie the sack closed before I put it in the urn.
Okay, good.
Fortunately, did not botch that one.
Yeah. So you slice it open, and further entrails come spilling out, which the raptors just gobble up. And before you, looking like it weighs probably like 5 pounds. It's like it's a sack the size of a coin purse. Is what you believe to be either the gallbladder or the venom sac. And I think is maybe like you poke it with the blunt end of your sack or your staff. You come to the conclusion it's definitely the venom sac because you poke that and there's like a squirting of venom coming from the thing's fangs whenever you do that.
Indeed. So yeah, I'm gonna try to use the bladed edge to I think it's the bladed mithril edge actually that I will be using to try to cut it out.
Make it
Does
hot
that
or it'll
kind
leak.
of work. Was it Elven Silver? Oh yeah, no, Dwarven Mithril. Oh, never mind. That's Dwarven Mithril. So I'm going to use Dwarven Mithril bladed edge to cut this thing out. Seems like the kind of precision work Mithril will be good at.
This will take probably like 5 or 10 minutes to do this whole process. What is everybody else doing this time? Is anybody like concerned at all about Bohanna?
I used a healing on her, but it only
Yeah.
got 4.
I'd be right next to Bahana with the urn, watching both and trying to care for her at the same time.
Okay.
Fergus, I'll get her out of here in a moment. Look for eggs.
I look over at the giant pile of eggs next to Graves.
Yeah. There is indeed a giant pile of eggs right behind Graves. Do you want to give me a 2d6 roll to see if there are any usable ones after the
After I fell all
basilisk?
over him.
Yeah, and after the basilisk was like flailing about.
Hmm.
It looks like they were all smashed in the
Good,
process.
they should be all smashed.
It looks like there was at least 6 that were fully intact before the fight, but when the tail got severed and sent him into that mad frenzy, it accidentally smashed its own clutch.
James is just going to sigh and say that perhaps there's more elsewhere. I was hoping to return one to Telemon as I
Oh
keep
God,
sawing
no!
away.
Do you want one of these in the basement of the guild?
I'll turn and say that I
And thus
thought you
the
might be
Chamber
able
of
to
Secrets
magically
was
tame it or
formed,
something.
but it
You
was-
have a dragon turtle. I figured it would be a good companion, and I'll just keep sawing away.
Well, I think we'd have a stone dragon turtle if that were true.
Alright, so I spend a further balance on him, like wake up, girl. That's all I can really do.
Great.
Wow.
There's that is the
Wow.
worst balance roll ever.
Oh my god!
You healed 2.
Did anyone feed her antitoxin? I know she was bitten several times.
I have already given her antitoxin. Mayhap it takes time to work. Has anyone seen the girl? Is there any lumps in the basilisk?
Did you go over and ask Graves if he's seen any?
Have you seen a maid?
Yeah. So because of your successful intelligence roll, Graves, you can tell that indeed there looks to be the remnants of at least one person, maybe 2 in this thing's digestive tract. It looks to be fairly distended.
We should
Aye.
inform the others. This is very unfortunate. Unfortunately, it's too late for us to do anything.
Perhaps if we had known about it sooner.
Graves
Probably should
nods
check
at
the
them.
other room just to be sure.
Do not feel too bad about this on you. This was as tragic as this is. I don't believe there's anything we could have done about this. We weren't informed in time, and the way things worked out, that we couldn't have known. And I'll just keep working on getting that sack out.
Yeah. I take one of the other bowls that looks like it's here and put it over top the urn, and I tend to carry it that way.
Okay.
I'm sure it's probably like at least half my size, probably big as I am. It's probably like my two-handed job to carry that.
Graves gonna sigh and says, "Why was Bojana trying to kill that thing anyway? I was trying to take it alive so we could bring it back. It was the whole point of the mission." And I'll just
Well, it did bite her, you know. I can't fault her for wanting it dead.
Graves shakes his head and says, "I know all about payback, but the mission comes first."
Well, we have this one. It should be enough, probably, I think. Maybe?
I'm gonna say that even though you didn't see any more eggs over there, make sure you take a good look, Fergus. I'll be done here in a minute. I want to make sure we don't leave any surprises behind for these people in a few months.
I take a good look around this room.
Okay. As
I don't
you...
open it. I don't open any of the graves or anything. But
Okay. As you are doing that, though, you do notice that one of the sarcophagi was just utterly smashed and wrecked open, and you can see some of its contents were spilled out into the room. I'm gonna have a roll from you. It will be. Can you give me a Um, a D10 plus 1d4.
Happens to be the same as my damage, so I'm like, why not?
Yeah. So give me give me a 2d4. You're looking about for remnants of the eggs, or maybe like leftover from the people, and I think you notice on the other side of the basilisk, where this broken sarcophagus is, there is a very ancient, what looks to be mummified corpse that is kind of tumbled out. It looks like it was almost broken in half by the weight of the basilisk, and uh, spilling out behind it, or beneath it rather, looks to be a large um, a large sack that was placed into the sarcophagus with it, and it looks like there's a small tear in the sack, and you can see like 3 or 4 shiny specks of gold that have dropped out of it. This looks to be a very large sack indeed.
But it was in the sarcophagus.
As near as you can tell. Like, you don't know how else it could have gotten there.
Fergus doesn't believe in looting the remnants of the dead, so he leaves it there.
Your ancestors approve. You find nothing else particularly noteworthy as you're examining the room. There is one sarcophagus as you're walking by that you get like an odd feeling as you walk by it, and I think you stop and you look at it. You just get like this kind of weird feeling in the pit of your stomach. Do you do anything about it? I think it's probably this one down at the south.
What does the top read, if anything?
So the top reads Cisoran Hyleth, and it gives a date sometime about like a century and a half ago. That's all it says.
He leaves it.
All right, so yeah, barring that, there's nothing else that is of interest here. Graves, you finish extracting the venom sac. How do you store it?
I am going to once again reach into my adventuring gear, and this time pull out a small, or not really a small, but it's like I guess a medium-sized little like wooden box, and I'll probably try to put it into that.
Okay. This has been the oddest use of adventuring gear, like this adventuring gear pack I've ever. Cages and boxes, and chainmail sacks.
But Graves is adventuring gear, you know?
Yeah, this is true. He's pulling containers out of smaller containers. It's very peculiar.
So I've got this urn, and I guess we're gonna go check to make sure the other room is actually empty, and then we'll probably head out, I think.
Make sure we've collected all of the corpses that we can as well.
Are you're collecting all of the corpses?
Yep, I'm collecting the small corpses. I figured they may have usable venom sacs as well.
How are you collecting them?
I'm gonna try to scoop them into yet another sack.
They're too many and too big for that. You could like get 2 in a standard kind of sack that you carry over you, but these things are like a couple feet long, like 3 feet long, maybe 4, and then they're very wide.
Oh, in that case, you know what? I might actually, instead of taking a sack, I might try to rope them together and drag them out.
All right, so you can spend another 15 minutes doing that if you want.
Yep.
If I
Mariah looks
holler
at you and
over
says,
to,
"What are you doing?"
If I holler over to Mariah, can you give me a hand?
I'd rather make sure this live one stays in the jar, thank you very much.
Graves nods and says, "Go with Fergus, get the cage, and come back. Then I'll try and rope as many as I can in the meantime. I'm gonna leave from here. I don't need to go back any further than this." Notably, I'll make sure to get the one that has Padine's stoned hand in it first.
Why do you need the cages?
I think the jar is doing admirably.
No sense in harming a jar inside of a cage. It's a little better than trying to hold a lid.
That would not fit in your cage.
A snake inside of a sack inside of a jar inside of a.
It's thin enough.
inside of
It's
a
probably go right through
cage.
the cage.
I made the cages for snakes, I would think. So I'm not sure.
Well, if they're small, they could still probably get out. It depends. But yeah.
I'm going to turn back and say that I've got to take that thing into a town, and I don't want to try to hold a lid on as I'm running through the town square with it. I want to have a cage. Grab it quick. I'll try to rope up as many specimens as I can, and I'm going to take Bojana back with me, and I'm going to go right from here. Does anyone need me to do anything in town?
We need to check the rest of the... Bojana doesn't seem to be getting up. I've done what I can. We'll have to drag her back to town.
Woman nods and says, "No, I'm going to take her back to town. Don't worry about that. I'll bring her back the same way I plan to bring back the medicine. In fact, I'm going to bring back the venom sac, all of the samples, and her in this very room shortly. Just get me a cage so I can take that thing back safely."
I think the jar would be enough, but fucking walks in the
He just shakes his head and says that it kind of looks at Mariah and says, "I hope she's doing all right. But us getting these venom sacs back could potentially cause a cure for her."
Indeed, I probably like think. Lux, are you done yet?
And I think it kind of wobbles back around the sarcophagus, and there's just one
cage
now.
number one.
There's just one now, and
Not bigger.
it's bigger and more rotund.
I tried to. Here, come on, let me expect that bite. I know you were bitten.
Yeah, it moves over and turns around. You can see that, indeed, it looks like its back shoulder blade does seem to be heavily inflamed, and it's actually already starting to kind of erupt with pus.
Here be a cage.
I don't have any like antitoxin, but I think I tried to treat it with one of the uses of my poultice and herbs. That seems fitting for a creature.
Okay.
Here, like stand still.
We'll take the cage from Fergus and thank him and say that this will be a lot more secure going to the center of a populated town.
I'm going to check out that other room.
He says, "Perhaps you should wait for Mariah." I guess
Yeah, I have
he
no
just
problem
walks
doing that.
off.
Once we get this in that other cage, it should just a matter of upending it, I think.
So you,
for the time being.
Yeah, you safely get the basilisk into the cage.
Okay. I put the urn back where I found it.
It's a little bloody. So what happens next?
Zach is a little bloody?
I think Graves is going to rope. How many of them did I manage to rope up in that amount of time? I started with the one that had the hands. I plan to get that back.
Probably all of them except for the one that Fergus curb stomped. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
One's filleted.
I'm going to kind of rope them all.
Oh
up.
yeah, one of them is filleted, but you can take that one back too.
Cool. I'm going to have those all kind of hopefully wrapped up right next to Bojana. Gonna be like right next to her, and I'm gonna probably kind of motion Mariah over and say, "What is your plan after this? Where should we meet you? Should we meet you at the portal?" I'm having to bring back. If I bring back Bojana, it will slow my trip back. I won't be able to make it back as quickly as I had thought.
Well, we'll probably be here for at least another day. I would think. If you make it back by then, we'll still be here.
I may have to come back without her. We'll see what happens with her treatment. I'll bring this to the Meister immediately, and I'll
You can get better treatment back in town that you can here, I'm sure.
So yeah, I'm going to basically get all that stuff kind of in my grasp, and I'm going to put a hand on Bojana's arm, and I'll say, "Tell the others that I'll be back, and that I'll make sure that she sees treatment, and and our mission complete. And I will I guess kind of look and see if there's anything anyone wants to say before I say the word.
Yep, have a fair journey. Hurry back.
There's nods and says,
just to make sure I don't accidentally get pulled in.
I'll bring you back some ale, Meadhammer, and I'll with that I'll say the word. Let me see actually what the word is.
How do you have the snakes tied, and how are you carrying them again?
I have them all tied up to essentially like a rope right now, and I've got
Okay.
the rope. And I'm essentially.
And
trying
you're
to
holding the rope?
Yeah, I'm essentially trying to wrap the rope, like I guess, around my arm right now at the
Okay.
other end, so it's firmly with me during this this pull out, and I've got my arm around Bajana as well, around her arm. So I'm about ready to say the word.
Yep. I would
Which
pull
I
Flux
believe
away too,
is-
but I can't actually move him.
It is the Orcan word for cellar.
All right. So with that, Memon Graves disappears.
Goes
And
by
only
unconscious,
Memon Graves.
so I'm not there. Okay.
Well, looks like we're pulling Bojana out as well, Fergus.
Wait, what, the Bajana didn't disappear?
Nope. And
Assist you.
I think
In a
I think
rope
you
of
guys,
snakes.
yeah, you guys actually are like I think you come back around. You see Bojana's still there, and there are a bunch of snakes still there. It looks like it's missing the upper half of the rope, and Graves is gone.
Took the cage though, right?
He was holding it.
Okay. Well, I guess we have a carrying job to do, Fergus.
I suppose. Well, guys, buddy. I suppose I should check.
It did not malfunction. Word of recall. Choose a word. The first time after casting the spell that you speak the word, the chosen word, you and any allies touching you when you cast the spell are immediately returned to the exact spot when you cast the spell. You can only maintain a single location. Casting Word of Recall again before speaking the word replaces the earlier spell. You weren't touching anybody when you cast the spell originally.
That's true.
Oh wait, you have to touch them before, not after.
Mm-hmm. The way I read it, yeah.
That's the way I read
did
it.
not know that. I had it backwards. I'm sorry.
So Fergus confirms that the two are dead. That this isn't like some random animal eaten by the basilisk.
It's a very gruesome task. You do find a woman's partially decayed foot inside.
Fergus doesn't continue. He's like, I'm assuming they're decayed and dead. But anyway,
To wrap this up, it says when you cast the spell. You only cast the spell once. When you speak the word, you're not actually casting a spell because you don't roll spell cast.
I think I misread it at some point. That's all. It's fine.
Indeed. It probably does work that way. To be fair,
It does work that way. It's not a probably. It's when you cast the spell.
Very well.
No, you know what? It's completely written different in the actual book. I'm not sure if did you change it?
What book exactly are you looking at? Do you have the actual Dungeon World PDF?
No, never mind, never mind. I misread it. I misread it actually. Yep, it's fine. It is written the same way.
I mean, I thought it was.
Yeah, I
But
thought it was the same.
all right. So, guess I grab hold of Bojana and dragging her.
Okay.
out.
And make sure I grab my dagger before we leave.
Okay. All right. So with that,
Yep.
I take a peek in the other room. I leave Bojana in the corridor. Take a peek in the other room also, just to make sure there's no more basilisks in it.
there's nothing of interest in there.
Okay.
It's just another small room.
Just for like making sure that's cleared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you get Bojana back up to the main house, and I believe Galarian was his name. He sees you coming back up from the crypts, and he says, "Oh no! Is she okay? Where is the other one?"
I don't know. Graves won't be coming back for a little bit. He took a detour, but he's all right. I'm afraid to tell you that you probably won't be seeing Millie and Tom though. Your crypts have basilisks in them.
Basilisk is in more than one.
Aye,
Our
they be
mother and
dead now
Xian,
though.
All dead.
Oh my! Oh, poor Millie. He looks incredibly heartbroken and sad. He says, "Well, let me help you get her in. We'll see what we can do. You say she was
He was bitten.
she was bitten? Oh
Yes.
no!
Indeed.
They say the bite of a basilisk turns one to stone."
Yes. I don't know how long though. We've given her some antitoxin. It may help. It may take some time. Perhaps some bed rest for now.
Do you have any local medicine women?
There is a woman who lives out in the swamps. He looks a little bit nervous. Corinth.
Not the the best reputation. This one, I take it.
Go Corinth. We may or may not have been engaged when we were younger. This was a long time ago.
Fergus gives him the eye that he's giving in the picture.
Well, what do you think, Fergus? Perhaps we could call upon the woman, see if she would help.
I'm afraid she lives quite remotely.
I always do.
She doesn't get along too well with those in Mirkwood.
Would she have a problem with coming here? Or people here have a problem with her doing so?
Well, probably not, but it might not be the easiest journey for her.
Certainly. Perhaps maybe easier to get her to come to here than to get our friend out to her.
Yes. Well, come. We'll get your friend settled, and then I'll seize to giving you directions to Corinth.
Yes.
Aye.
So, there's a brief change of scenery.
In the barony of Kelburn.
Memon Graves, you appear in your inn room. I think you appear in your inn room and it is completely dark. And you are not holding Bojana, and you feel a considerable lightness to the weight of the rope that you were holding.
I'm gonna look in both directions, and I'm just gonna curse into my breath. I thought that was gonna work, and I kind of look and say that if I half wonder if they were left behind, or if something worse happened, and that thought kind of chills me. But for now, I'll assume they were left behind, and I'll just mutter under my breath that I hope those two just don't throw those snakes out. They're valuable, damn it. And with that, I will look to make sure my other cargo is here. Specifically, make sure the cage is intact and my box of the wooden sack is intact as well.
Those are both present.
Gibbs will sigh a bit of relief and say that perhaps
Provided
we'll
you
enough.
could, provided you had at least one spare room in your inventory.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
At least one. I've got like 2. That's great. But yeah.
Yeah, so much room.
So yeah, I'm going to immediately head out of the room and make my.
You
way
open the
to-
door, and the proprietor of the sorceress's cellar is immediately in front of you. Bakar, the big orc. He's bent down, and it looks like he's absurdly he's dusting one of the cabinets in the hallway, and he's right in front of the room. And your door opens up, and he's like, "Oh, oh, how, oh." And he looks back to you into your room, and then like back to the hallway, and then like back to you, and then the hallway, like like several times with this
I was
horribly
sure that
confused
was
look on his
empty.
face.
I'll just like smile a slight bit and say that perhaps you missed me when you were using the. What would it be in medieval times or this time specifically? The sewage pit? I don't know.
Outhouse.
I'll suggest that perhaps it caught me while he's was out taking care of yeah, and I'll just kind of give him a bit of a nod, and I'll hurry on straight towards the exit, heading for the.
Yeah, you see him scratching his head as you walk by, and he's just like he's staring at you the whole time, and you quickly exit the inn.
Carrying a cake with something hissing horribly in it.
Now
No
the
doubt.
question: does the guy say, "Did I drink too much?"
No, this is an absurd notion. You never drink too much.
Perhaps I'm seeing things. Those mushrooms were definitely unreliable.
Maybe that cheese was older than I thought.
Who is the man working on the cure? I'm trying to pour through the notes right now, actually.
That would be Father Karnak, the lizard folk
He was in
priest of
church,
Ilar.
yeah. I'm making my way to Father Kernick. Essentially, full run. I'm not going to be shadow jumping because I know in this particular town that's probably not a great idea.
All right, so you catch quite a few glances as you run through the streets, but nobody stops you. I think there's a moment where a pair of guards look like they're stepping towards you to stop you, but then somebody gets smacked over the back of the head with like a potted plant, and a woman starts shrieking at this man about like how he slept with her sister, and they have to turn and deal with the situation. You manage to scoot by that, and eventually you get to the Temple of Ilar, where you last saw Father Karnak.
Gotta say, I'm now picturing this town like a medieval cops episode. We are in Redneck Land, but yeah.
You open the temple door and you head inside.
Absolutely, I'm going to hurry inside shortly after I open the door and
You catch
calling out for
you
him.
catch several sidelong glances from people as you hiss your way by through the pews and towards the back room. You don't see the father anywhere in the main room. It's actually rather peculiar. You haven't ever actually seen him out here before. And I think you probably just head on back to his office and knock on his door, and after a few moments you hear, "Yes, hello, I'm quite busy. Is there anything I can help you with?"
A cure for the lady. I'll
"Oh, you've returned it. Come in, come in." You open the
make my
door
way
and
in
step in.
rapidly. I'll immediately set this hissing cage down on his desk.
Oh my,
I'll
what
take
is
the wooden
this?
box. One of the basilisk's offspring. The only one to survive, I'm afraid.
You see him
I
get
tried to
down
do
like an
more
eye
than
level
that.
with this thing, and he gives the snake eye. Just like wide-eyed stares at this thing. "Basilisk, you say?"
They seem to have the poison, but it's slower acting than the mother. And I'll reach in. As one of our party was poisoned I believe she may be suffering the same fate as the ladies soon. And I'll take this box out.
Were you
I
able
will-
to get her an antidote in time?
I'll say that we gave her an antitoxin, but I don't believe that she's waking up. She's remained unconscious.
Well, such things could depend on the doses, and how hardy her constitution is. If you manage to get it to her in time, it's still possible that she will be fine. The main reason the lady was, as she is now, is no one realized she had been bitten at first, and even the lady's manor at Mirkwood is very, very limited upon these sorts of supplies.
Graves nods, and then he takes out the wooden box and says, "You must be very cautious with this." I'm going to set it down and say, "This is toxin from the mother. I have a feeling it is a great deal more potent."
He tastes the air with his tongue as you set the box down, and then like he kind of recoils, like he's tasted something foul. And he's like, oh dear."
I was under the impression that this would be hopefully what could be used to create a cure for the lady. How long will this take?
I do not know. I have been preparing several decoctions, but I will have to study this this material first before making any sort of medicine out of it to discover its properties. It would not do to try this out upon the lady herself.
Graves nods and says, "Make sure that you investigate the properties of the poison and take extra precautions. Make sure that antitoxins are at hand, and perhaps you will want an assistant in this. I will probably go inform her husband, and then I can do whatever you may need."
You will leave this small specimen with me, yes?
Say that I will leave both specimens with you for now, if that is what is
Oh,
required.
excellent. I will get to work on this right away. Oh, I do have good news, however. The item you left with me before, the elixir, it should be done within the next day. It is currently simmering.
Graves
All
will
is
nod
left
and
is to wait.
Graves will nod and say that we'll make sure that it falls into the right hands. Unfortunately, the Dean will not be returning with us. His body is currently being stored
His-
at the...
His body.
Yes, he was slain on the way. We're not exactly sure what happened. He died overnight. I think that perhaps some swamp water that he inhaled earlier may have been poisoned and we hadn't realized it until it was too late. Or some potential...
Swamp water.
He was dragged under by squids of flame. I'm just going to kind of trail off and say it is a very unusual swampland, but unfortunately he died shortly after. He didn't seem to be showing any signs, but I hold it on myself. I should have given him an antitoxin just to be sure.
I am sorry, my son, that he passed upon the journey, but at least you have succeeded in your mission. Maybe his soul will rest easy.
Graves nods and says, "I will go inform her husband at once so she knows that, or he knows not to jump the gun on any other solutions, and we may actually have a cure for her." And I'll give him a bit of a nod and say that I will be back if you need anything. Let me know, and I will try to retrieve it for you while I am out.
Yes, very well. Thank you again, Mr. Graves. You've obviously accomplished something most around here would be too frightened to even attempt, he says, like, I think poking the cage, and the basilisk, like, hisses and tries to bite him. He kind of jumps back a bit and then sticks his tongue out at it.
Graves nods and says that if by chance you are able to render a cure from it, an extra dose for one of our newest companions would be very appreciated. I don't know if, like you said, she may have been retrieved in time with the antitoxin is merely not waking up, or if she may share the lady's condition, but a precaution that we should have.
So, what do you do after your meeting with Father Karnak?
I am going to head to the lady's husband, aka the town's leader, and try to have an audience with him and let him know what transpired.
Okay. Is there anything specific you need to ask him or tell him, or do you want to just say you fill him in on the details?
Fill him in on the details, sans any mention of use of magic, more just the fact that we brought it down, because I know the people are paranoid about that. But other than that, that's about all I mentioned.
He's very surprised by the quick progress that you've made, and says with this sort of news, he will probably be able to hold off on using the elixir then, and he hopes that the antidote proves promising.
I'll inform him that though Kadeen has passed, that I intend to see his mission out as well, and that the woman that he wished to see cured as well. So if he can hold off on the elixir, this would be a great benefit, and I will keep him informed. I'm going to go head back and see the father and assist him in any way I can until a cure is ready.
All right, so we switch back to the marshes. I think you guys have gotten Bohanna settled in one of the rooms, and it sounds like Gyleon is talking you into like where to go. When from just the next room over, the room where you left Bohanna, you hear some stirring. Bohanna, you begin to awaken.
Sure. Bahana, are you alright?
Did you hear that?
Bohanna,
my
you feel you have a horrible headache, as you correctly surmised. You also feel incredibly stiff all over, especially in your right arm, like your left side, and like one of you, I think you're probably your right leg.
Yeah.
All areas where you were bitten. It feels like maybe you haven't moved those areas in like 4 years, and it hurts tremendously.
Oh, so much pain.
We gave you some antitoxin, but it's still injuring you.
If you examine the wounds, you can see that the bite marks are still red, but the swelling has gone down, and they're not discolored. They're just kind of an inflamed red. There's no kind of real worrying discolorations, especially in the veins, and it looks like maybe you got the antidote in time. It also looks like maybe she just took so much so many bites that her poor heart couldn't handle it.
Like a tremendous hangover.
It looks like the poison perhaps isn't hurting you anymore, but
Hopefully not.
Here, let me bandage those wounds. Might help a bit.
Ooh, bandages. That's 4 health points, right?
3, I think. No, you're alright, there are 4.
Yay!
Slowly getting back up to full health.
Yeah.
Mayhap you survived, or mayhap you will not meet the same fate as the woman did, girl.
Snakes are horrible creatures. Can't stand them.
Aye. Well, at least basilisks anyway. Normal snakes, not so much.
Well, I'm pleased to see that you'll be all right. Your merchant friend was quite worried about all of you when you did not return from the crypts for the first hour. Believe he will be relieved to hear it as well.
Aye. We should also inform Millie's and Tom's family if they have not already been done so.
We'll have to do that. We also have some time for Gray's returns, So we'll probably want to check around the remainder of the garden to make sure there weren't any more nests.
More?
There
You-
could be.
You would think there could be more of them.
There could be the one, but to my knowledge, they don't make eggs by themselves.
Oh my.
There was only one large basilisk in the crypt.
Well, I will be about to the town and inform Millie and Tom's families myself. I know them best. You're welcome to stay as long as you need. You've done a tremendous service.
Certainly. We would do no less.
So with that, Gaelion leaves. At various points, Calvin, Rylan, and Aldart eventually check in on you guys to see how Bohana's doing, see what exactly is going on. You decide to go and check the gardens while waiting for kind of Bohana to really fully rest up.
I know I found those scales before, and I don't think they've lit to the crypt.
So where exactly are you looking, and how are you looking?
I would think I would see if I could find more of those scales. So something obviously shedded them, so something was growing up. It didn't seem like they went for the crypt. I think it might lead like a trail or something that we could follow. If not, I would probably look for any place that I consider probably large enough for such a creature to hide. The crypt was one such, we already did that, so there might be like.
You do recall somebody finding that behind the hedgerow that you found the scales at, there had been a break in the wall.
Yeah, I want to see probably what's beyond that, like immediately beyond it, like if it goes out into the swamp, or if it's like a storage area or something like that.
So it leads down a rather steep embankment, down to some marshy grass, and then right to the water's edge. It's kind of the far side of the little island that the town and the manor are built on, and you just see tiny little one tree islands occasionally dotting the distance with more marshland for as far as you can see.
Perhaps the father/mother, I'm not sure which, left, but we want to make sure to get this wall fixed.
And the crypt sealed back up.
Yes, as it should be.
All right, so you go about doing that. We're gonna fast forward to the next day.
Ooh. Can I level?
Yes, you can.
Anybody? I wanted to do in town that night. I'm not sure.
It sounded like you were helping Father Karnak. Is that not the
I
case?
kind of came up with something on my way back there that I wanted to do, which was to check for my buddy to see if he checked into the hotel before I head back to Karnak. It occurred to me after I.
Okay. Yeah. So
Because,
you're going around in the evening. Nobody knows of this this buddy yet. It sounds like there are still people out looking for him.
Okay, so he hasn't shown up yet, and I'm not checked in.
Judging by relative times, you rode like a little ways out into the marsh, and you actually rode out on like one of the very few like kind of actual roads that go out there, so you made really good time, and then you teleported back, so like your travel time was extremely short. If he was actually living out in the marshes, it might be a couple more days before they even find him, much less return.
Absolutely understandable. Makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I'll. One thing I also want to do before I go back to Karnak is if I can pass some sort of caravan, I would like to pay a caravan to go out to the estate, retrieve Kadeen's body, and then take it to Arnhem. I don't know how much gold they would want for that.
We can figure that out. Equipment and services.
I want to make sure that I send somebody out there to retrieve it since I wasn't able to bring it back with me.
Transport. Hired coach or wagon on a safe route. Hired coach or wagon on a tough route. Hired coach or wagon on a dangerous route. So you can definitely find someone. Actually, I think you'll need to make some sort of charisma check to see if you can actually hire someone who will go all the way into the marshes. Like on a safe or a tough route, no checks required. On a dangerous route, I think we'll have to make a check to see if you can find anybody willing to take on the job. Yeah, so you can, but it's either going to be. I think you get a choice. It's either going to be more expensive than normal, which could be considerably expensive, or it might be a few extra days before they get around to actually even getting to Mirkwood. Like they have some. The other option is that the other people have some business they need to take care of in a small town outside of Kelburn. They need to run their goods there first.
Leaning towards considerably expensive. How expensive is a?
All right. Well, for a dangerous route, it's going to be 3 gold per mile. That's going to be before the expense. Let's see how many miles we're talking. This isn't going to be the whole distance to Arnhem, but this will be the distance to Mirkwood. That's roughly 60 miles to Mirkwood.
It's 120 round trip.
20 at 3 gold per pop.
Well, that's actually 180 for one way.
180 gold total or 180 miles?
No, 180 gold. I'm gonna say they're probably gonna charge you 4 gold if you want the expedient one instead of 3.
Okay, so what I'd like to try to do when they tell me this is I will tell them I can put up 50 gold right now.
That's just to let you know, that's 480 gold just to get to Mirkwood and back.
How much for the rest to get to the actual guild?
That is a safe route, which knocks it down to copper per mile. I'm still going to bump it up to 4 because you're still hiring them instead of having them do this other job.
Makes sense.
Oh, I already have this pre-calculated. Where did that go?
About it in terms of how they get paid, but don't know if they're going to actually do it, but I'll try.
Kelburn to Arnhem is 207 miles by road.
So that's 600 gold. So all in all,
that's
1,080.
828 copper divided by 100.
Oh, copper. Oh.
So that's just another 8 gold, 2 silver, and 8 copper for that entire journey. So
Wow.
the journey to Arnhem is 8
Never
gold.
mind.
The journey back and forth to Mirkwood is 480.
Wow.
Because they're risking their lives.
I understand. Having been out there, I think that they deserve some sort of hazard pay. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to say that I will agree to their price. However, I'm not carrying that much on me. I will advance them. I can advance them up to 50 gold right now, and then the great and powerful Telemon the Red that runs the Arnhem Adventurers Guild and is wealthy beyond all measure from their slaying of a god will pay them the additional funds upon arrival, and that Padine is a founding member of the guild and will no doubt no expenses will be spared on this. And receive a tip. I'll try to throw in there.
Go ahead and give me a charisma roll again for your haggling, essentially.
God, yeah. That's what I
Like
want
50
to
gold
do.
up front is nothing to sneeze at, but yeah, they've apparently heard of you guys down in Kelburn, and they take your story of this guy seriously. And so when they find out that this guy they're bringing back is actually one of the original founding members of the guild, and that they're likely to get some sort of bonus on top of the 488 gold that you're going to owe them, they start looking to each other like. I think like your keen ears pick up like we were gonna make 10 gold off of this job to the south. Take the deal. And I think the other one's like, you know what kind of eels are in that swamp, man? It's like, oh, forget it. We can deal with the eels. And
I will caution them to beware of the flame squids with all direct honesty. And to avoid such regions, it's better to go around them.
yeah, so they take the deal. I'm gonna jot this down.
Gold out of my inventory. That 40 of it was, I believe, Bedines, or 43 of it was Bedines. Some amount of it was Bedines, but I've knocked it down now. Bedines' gold is gone, and some of my gold is gone. I'm not carrying a lot of cash on me right now.
How much gold were you going to pay the pair pack again?
488 gold.
Ironically, that is the exact amount of gold Mariah is sitting back at base.
That's really funny.
That's hilarious. Yeah, with that, I'll head back to the father. And there's one last thing I wanted to do. That was when I reached the father. I was going to. Is he a cleric? I was going to ask him if he perhaps either has healing services, or since he creates things and he seems to be a bit of an alchemist, I'll ask him if he may have any healing potions he may give me for my my companions to the north when I return to them. I was going to ask about those things while I offer my assistance and maybe get some rest if he doesn't need my help with alchemy stuff or that. I'll leave that up to you if I get enough time to actually get some sleep.
So, you're asking him if he has any healing spells or potions?
Yeah, I might ask if he knows any of the healing arts, or if he may dabble in creating healing potions, and say that I'm currently, unfortunately, low on resources, but I know that my companions are still in, peril to the north, and I hope to return to them and that sort of thing.
Give me your third charisma roll in a row.
Holy shit.
Wow, Graves just rolling on. Yeah, he says, given the amount of help that you have provided the Baron's family, of course, I will give you what I can. Unfortunately, these are very hard to make, very hard to come by, and typically only saved for life-threatening situations here in the town. I can spare 2 of them for you.
Graves will nod and say that I believe that we will be leaving the small basilisk in your custody, and hopefully one day, if you take precautions and perhaps keep it in a very secure location in town, you'll be able to produce many antidotes from it. It could be distributed across the lands. I'm sure they would be quite a source of income for your township. Right.
Oh yeah, you can hook the basilisk up to a machine and just milk it for all it's worth.
There are precautions. You might want to speak to my hunter friend.
Kill me.
You may wish to speak to my hunter, my associate, when he arrives. He has experience with these sorts of creatures and might be able to design a holding pen for one.
I'll get it defanged. The Baron's personal basilisk.
If you got it defanged, you couldn't milk it for the antidote.
This is true.
Yes, this is true.
Gotta take precautions with such a thing, but it could be worth it being able to produce basilisk antidotes. Not a lot of towns can claim that.
Get it gold capped.
That's the thing.
caps.
Well, it depends. Eventually, will not be quite so small.
So yeah, you get some rest. I think you find that he's having some hard time with the antidote actually. But you can get some rest if you need it.
Should I be able to level up?
If you rest, yes.
Okay, I might get a little bit of rest because I think that I need it for both healing and leveling.
Yep. Yeah, go ahead. I think when you awake in the morning, you'll find that he's still up and he's got kind of dark circles beneath his eyes, and it doesn't sound like he's had much luck in the previous day. So, do you have anything left you need to do in town?
I think the next day I'll get. Oh, wow, that actually put me up to full. Nice. I think probably when I get out the next day, I'll say that. Do you have any idea how long the antidote will take?
I am having difficulties. The specifics of the poison are more complex than anticipated. I am not exactly confident that I will be able to make an antidote right away from simply the poison alone. It seems it does indeed start to solidify the exterior of the body. You can see I think you can see like a poor hardened rat in a cage somewhere on his desk. He says, "I've yet to determine how exactly this is beneficial to the basilisk, as it leaves the core of the being still alive and intact."
I'll kind of look to it and say that I wish that I had more knowledge of basilisks. My associate's taking his time getting here, and I just kind of like stomp on my, or kind of like just wrap my fingers on the table impatiently, and
Somewhere the guy's fighting a dragon and saving a town.
yeah, I'll probably still be like, what took you so long after all of that? But yeah, I'll just kind of.
I will nevertheless continue to work very hard on
I think you will
it.
be able to do it before the lady requires the elixir. I would hate to see this go for naught.
I will
Is there
do
anything
all I
do to
can.
help you?
Well, if we could somehow figure out how exactly or why exactly the basilisk does this, it would be easier to come up with the antidote. Most antidotes are developed by what you would really consider more vaccines than anything else. Pure antidotes to counteract poisons are very rare and very hard to come by. This in particular, I'm having a hard time fathoming something which could... The venom could counteract itself in stone form. Tests have been unfortunate.
I'm gonna nod. I'm gonna say just a second here. Let me think what I'm gonna do. Actually, I will stay in town for a few more hours. Then I must return to my companions. Try to think if there's anything that I can do to potentially help.
Well, perhaps if
do
you
I
could
know
tell
anybody
me
else- okay, where
about...
let me see here. Where are we on the map? I'm trying to find the map right now. I'm looking for it. I'm zoomed in too much. Here we are. Okay, Kelburn. I found this. Mirkwood. Okay, got it. Do I potentially... Can I make a hunting party roll to see if I know anyone that may know more about poisons in general in my network with a hunting party roll in the towns near here that I might be able to fetch and send to Kelburn? Along
You could certainly try.
Before I was looking for somebody with draconic experience. Now I'm looking more for someone with poison experience in general. Alright. Only +3. You know what? I'm gonna do it. Hang on 1 second before I actually roll that. I was really on the fence about which one to take, and I think I might actually do this. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to take it to check that actually. Yeah, I'm going to actually go with hunting buddies, I think, this time around. It was a very hard call between that and this in the night, so I might actually make a roll for that along the way while I'm checking here. But first I'm looking for this specifically. 8. Let me see how that works.
So I'm just reading hunting buddies here.
Also want to make a roll to see maybe if I can get some extra people to potentially. I know of any people near the region of the portal that might be able to join us when we come back that way, or at least to, or the region of Mirkwood actually.
Well, that's the roll you just made, though, right? To see if you have any fellow hunters in the area.
Actually, at that time I was rolling specifically hunting party to try to see if I could find someone that had poison experience to send here, and then I was going to.
Oh, you weren't rolling hunting buddies.
Then I was thinking I was going to actually look for people that might actually want to, might be in the area where we're headed, that might be able to help our group out. I should mention that one later. I'll just do the first one for now. That makes
Okay.
sense.
So yeah, on a 7 to 9, your costs turn up empty, or your contacts turn up empty, but somebody knows where one might be found. However, some risks or costs might be involved. I think you hear. Apparently, there is an old woman who lives out in the middle of the Morash Devar who's got some experience with poisons. By the name of Corinth. She's apparently kind of not viewed well in the local area.
How far is something to town? Like, how far would it take? Long would it take me to go out and run?
You'd have to get all the way back to Mirkwood and then head further into the Morash Devar.
Ooh, yeah, that would be very hard to like get any message back. Damn. I'll shake my head and say that the only person I know I think is too far away to make a difference. This is a very hard call. I'm going to pause for a moment and. If you're confident that you'll be able to come up with a cure before this, is there nothing else I can do? Unfortunately, my contacts turned up dry here.
Well, perhaps if you could tell me more of what you noticed of these creatures when you were there, they could help me decipher exactly what needs to be done.
They were nesting. We know this. There were 6 eggs originally, but they were smashed when I wounded the beast. I'm gonna pause and kind of neglect to mention how.
Did you notice anything of their feeding habits?
The largest one was digesting the latest 2 victims when we encountered it. We were too late to save them.
Really? Did you notice the state that the victims were in?
I remember that I did see them. And said that they were starting to they weren't actually grayed over, were they? I'm trying to remember back exactly. I'm pretty sure you mentioned that they were bloodied and digesting.
Yeah, they weren't grayed over. They were actually dissolving.
Yeah, I'll point that out and say that for whatever reason they do not believe they were poisoned. They were simply devoured.
Well, this is curious. Why would it Why would something come up with? Why would it evolve such a curious manner of neutralizing its prey and not use it to consume them?
Say that perhaps it's a defensive mechanism. Perhaps in each instance the prey was not so much viewed as food, but as a threat. If it was one of the smaller creatures that took the lady, from what I understand, that may have simply been threatened by the fact that she was much larger than the creature.
You could be right.
From what I can tell, they have not, don't devour them from the inside, like a spider or anything. I've did not see any signs of that.
Well, I suppose I'll have to continue on. I will do the best I can.
I'll nod and I'll say that I tried to bring back more specimens for you. They may still be available, but I'm not sure what my companions will do with the bodies. Tried to bring them back here. I'm sending a cart out that way shortly. I may be able to pick up some specimens with the body if I instruct them to. I will beat them out there for sure.
So is that the last thing you do in town?
Yeah, you know what? I think it is. I'm very sadly, I think it's time to head up back towards Mirkwood. And I think, yeah, I'm going to try to find the tallest building in town again and make my way up for a shadow jump.
All right. So while you're doing that, we cut back to Mirkwood. What are the three of you guys doing? It's the next day.
I would make
Probably
sure
them.
my slightly larger raptor is not massacring the chicken population.
It's a hard thing to make sure of.
I would probably ask Fergus, maybe when I saw him at breakfast. You know that one room that we saw off to the west in the passageway? Did you ever check that?
It didn't contain anything but more graves. There were no more basilisks in it.
Oh, good. I would hate to see another one of those creatures.
But lass, your training seems to have been a bit rushed. Your skill needs some work.
I think I was just taken aback by the speed of those stupid snake creatures.
Somewhere, an old goblin in the swamp says, "Yes, too old to begin the training. Mistake."
By the way, I did take heirloom weapon for the leveling. Or
Good.
just heirloom. So whatever flavor you'd wish to add with that is fine.
That's entirely
up to me.
Yeah, your prerogative.
Okay, cool. I'll flavor it then every once in a while.
Like if you start speaking to them, I'll let me look at heirloom weapon.
But she does not use a shield. You should always need your shield by your side. You go in first, so if you need to hit them, you can just bash them with your shield and then come in with your axe. Yes, this is the dwarven way. Or if they strike ye first, you use your shield to block the attack.
Wise. I usually go in sword first, looking for the offense, but I might try defense in the future first.
I don't know.
Wise.
I find softening them up a few arrows helps a lot.
This is true, but I'm not very proficient with a bow.
And
nor
indeed,
do I own
your
one.
accuracy seems to have improved since last time.
So somewhere, an old elf rolls over in his grave.
That poor guard. Captain of the guard, I guess.
Yes.
So as far as your heirloom weapon goes, whenever you consult, I may ask who you're speaking to, and you can tell me, and I will do the speaking for you. But I'll kind of ask like who they are and what they're like. So you guys are at the Mirkwood estate. I think you've heard back from the town in this point that I guess rather from Gyleon that it's a kind of a somber week in town now, given that two of their youngest in their prime are dead. And then when they kind of found out the horrible way that they died, that made things even worse. At some point, early in the morning, a bunch of the townsfolk came up and kind of like stormed the crypt with pitchforks.
Extricate the body from the corpse or from the dead snake.
Yeah. And they all returned some 2 hours later with like a bag and a half of what you assume to be bodies.
Sad day.
But they did confirm they were all dead. Slayed in most heinous fashion.
Bohanna, you're feeling considerably better. Your arm, side, and leg are still very stiff. The wound sites are still painful, but for the most part, you're back up to form.
Okay, good.
Is there anything you guys are specifically doing while you're waiting for Graves to return?
Have a drink at the tavern. See what their ale's like.
I don't think they have a tavern here.
They do not.
Or a local tap house. They got anything?
They have 6 buildings in town. All of them are homes.
All right, never mind then.
Break into a home. Give me your beer.
I demand ale in tribute.
I'm sure they have some type of alcohol within the building if you want to drink something, though.
Yeah, if you ask Gyleon, he'll say, "Well, I could show you to the mistress's wine cellar."
You got anything rougher than wines?
Oh,
You say that, Fergus, but there are some very fiery wines out there.
I'm afraid not.
Nah.
Fergus is probably like, nah,
I don't need no wine. I guess, what do you got, any local games? Cards? Like that?
Some
What do you
of
do
the,
to pass the times in the swamp?
well, some of the younger kids chase chickens.
As a
I-
raptor runs
I
around
bow
the background
court.
chasing a chicken.
Yeah, and their kids chasing the raptor. And occasionally, the raptor chasing the kids.
God. So how I'm spending my day, I have a raptor to teach not to chase human beings.
It's like I think he probably says, in terms of recreational activities, sometimes we relax and have a good meal. We also some of us go out fishing, although to be honest, that's mostly our daily lives to begin with.
Well, I guess I'll fix us a stew then.
Yeah, just okay, Fergus. Just go walk out to the swamp, wrestle a crocodile, cook that in a stew.
I think I'll walk the grounds just to make sure that there's no threats in the immediate area.
What do you consider a threat?
Any big, large creatures with huge fangs that are marching or lurking towards the manor. I'm just looking for like.
There are big, small creatures with big, small fangs lurking about the manor.
No, not. I don't consider those little things a threat.
They're not
The
so little
raptors.
right now.
That's true. But I've seen Mirai.
They've actually grown
taking
like
care of
twice in size
Oh
in
my
the
gosh.
last 24
Day.
hours.
Wow.
They're
That's
the
fine.
size of a small dog
I have
now.
consumed a
I
basilisk
seriously
flesh.
just made a bond about them before I even knew any of this. Like, this all happened, like, right after I made a mention of it. It's just friggin' great.
Okay,
And
so
yeah,
larger
there's
creatures
like
than that.
there's like 2 of them out in the yard and 1 of them down in the town.
Probably something large dog size or bigger.
I think you do spot a crocolisk, kind of making its way along one of the shores away from town.
So not lumbering towards us.
No, it's a 6-legged crocodile, often mistaken for a basilisk, and it's just kind of like padding its way calmly along like the northern shore of the island.
Okay. Probably when I'm like looking out towards it, I hear a voice kind of call to me softly, Bohana. And I recognize the voice. This is the voice of my father, and I kind of hear it coming from my sword. And I look down at my sword and I say, Father? Yes, Bohana.
So
It
this
I."
is not supposed to be a 1-2-way conversation. Like
Yes.
I'll ask you who you're talking to and what they're like.
Okay.
You don't have to role play with yourself.
Thank you.
So you're talking
my
to your father.
Yes.
Um.
And they were kind of a captain of a guard.
Okay.
Off in northeast part of Arkville, near the border of Cald, up by what is that called? Paul. I didn't zoom in. Pavelin Keep, north of there a little ways, probably up in this area.
Oh, okay. So pretty far. So yeah, you hear at first like it's hard to really gauge where this voice is coming from. You're looking about, and you could have sworn you heard somebody. Then you hear it again, Bohana, and the voice sends chills up your spine as you start to like recognize the voice, and it definitely cannot be the voice that you're thinking of, but sure enough, Bohana, again, it comes, and it is most definitely the voice of your father.
Father, is that you? As I'm looking at my sword.
Yeah, it says, you have grown strong, but not strong enough.
Yes, I failed in the crypt, Father.
We all fail.
No, like 5 times in a row.
It's like, what wisdom would you have of us, Bohana? What wisdom can we offer you? We are here. We are here for you. Your spirits, your ancestors. They all embody themselves in this blade you now hold.
Well, the one I seek, he was killed, and I've kind of taken up his quest of finding the cure to the lady of Kelburn, and also I'm helping this perhaps merchant, I doubt it, look for a blue portal. Is there anything that you might know about portals that are out in the swamps?
All right, give me a chaw roll.
Yay! It's changing the color of the dice worked! Holy shit!
I think he thinks for a long moment, and like the weapon goes silent. And for several seconds, you think like, is the magic gone? And then he replies, Some believe you are not ready, but you can only truly know yourself when you test yourself in these situations. There is a place back along paths you have tread already. A place where other places converge. It is not always there. It is ephemeral.
Fascinating. So he does not lead us too much astray, hopefully.
I must warn you, this place, it is gravely ancient and terribly dangerous. To set foot through this portal, you must know the portal may not take you back.
I understand. All risks do have their dangers.
Great secrets lie on the other side of this portal. Great secrets and knowledge forgotten to all those now living. Also, relics of civilization gone by.
I nod and kind of look out into the swamp. Just on the off chance that I see a blue glowing portal, I guess.
You see what you think for just the faintest second to be a glint of light, miles in the distance, that just catches your eye for a second, like somebody reflecting a mirror, and then it's gone.
Cool.
To the northeast. I would say east-northeast.
Alrighty. Very cool. With that, I will begin my my return around the manor and come back inside.
Right, so you're walking back to the manor, and all of a sudden, whoomp, right in front of you, stepping out of a shadow, is Memon Graves.
Okay. I kind of do a little cry at that. Huh? Where have you been?
We just say that I was able to return the goods to town, but I'll kind of look to you and say, where exactly are we standing now? Exactly, like where did I pop in exactly? Like,
You're outside of the manor. You're like
On the east side of it.
out in the yard on the eastern side of it.
say that the unfortunately the father in town is having trouble producing the antidote. I was going to instruct that the cart that I sent here to pick up the body of Badine will also hopefully retrieve the specimens that I was attempting to bring with me. I tried to bring you with me, Bojana, but unfortunately I miscalculated and you were left behind. It is good to see you all well. I was worried that I was told the antitoxin may see you on your feet, but I was hoping to get a cure for you as well when I was down there, but unfortunately it's not available.
Yes, I understand. Fergus saved me with an antitoxin.
To say that yes, I made sure that the nanotoxin was administered to you as soon as possible. It was the very first thing that I think should be done when you're bitten by a basilisk.
Well, thank you for that.
Fortunately, he didn't think the very first thing you should do when you're bit by a basilisk is cut off the infected limb.
Yeah. Because I would be, a stumpy person right now.
Yeah.
You'd be missing quite a few chunks of your person if that were true.
I think it's zombie rule. You're
Including
bitten,
your head.
you're gonna kill a basilisk. No, yeah, I'll turn to say. So the others all right? Was everything secure after I left? Are they still here?
Yes, they examined that other room before we left, and there was no other signs of the creatures. I believe Mirai has also looked for any other sign or trail of the creature and cannot find anything else other than what led into the crypt. Everyone is fine, though. Fergus would like some ale.
What are the specimens? What did you do with them? I want to make sure they're returned to town.
I think some of them were brought above ground. Don't know if all of it was. I did not check the stores of that.
I left
No,
the
no,
foul
I'd like to
beasts
assume
below
that-
where they belong.
Fergus says as he walks out of the manor, munching
I'll
on
turn and
a
I'll say that
piece of bread.
I want to ensure that
No, I'm dipping it in my stew that I made.
Yeah,
I
nice.
return the hand of Padine to his body if possible. It was in one of the bellies of the beasts.
Did you secure passage for his corpse back to Varnhan?
I'll nod and I'll say, yes, I'm going to see if the man of the house here can tell them when they arrive to pick up the body that they can also carry the snakes with them back back to the other town and turn them over to the father. I'll insinuate that they may be tipped.
Well, perhaps you should tell our employer to be ready, that we can head off towards his mysterious portal.
I nod and I'll head back in and see Mirai and tell her about what happened in town and fill her back in as well and say that perhaps we should push forwards.
I glance down at the sword in my scabbard and I say, I perhaps now believe more that some poor strange portal does exist out there in the swamp.
Did you ever doubt it?
For a time, I don't know if I really trusted your employer completely. I don't know if I still do.
I will say one thing: a man like Nat never offers gold for nothing.
And
There
Graves,
was a reason to bring us here.
since ye have returned, please try not to shoot me in the arse with crossbow bolts. It was quite uncomfortable.
You can see he still has a noticeable limp where he hikes his right glute up when he walks.
I'll wince slightly and say that I
Oh, that's fine,
apologize.
Fergus. We just gotta get you some armor on your rump.
I has armor on me, rump.
It
I
was an
apologize,
armor-piercing
Fergus, I
bolt.
thought you were shorter. I was attempting to hit the. I'll just kind of
Yeah, he's like, I thought you were shorter than that snake I was trying to shoot.
Yeah, something is in my eyes.
So, Graves, you wanted to try to gather your specimens back together?
Yeah, I want to try to gather the specimens back together, and drag them up to next to Padine, see if they'll haul them back as well.
So nobody brought the specimens out of the crypt.
Nope.
So the townsfolk probably destroyed them.
Probably, yeah.
Graves is gonna sigh at that when he hears this and just shake his head and say that,
You can see
Well,
that
so
a
what?
lot of
You
people
mean a lot of-
recently came through the lawn.
I'm going to sigh as I head down there looking for Padine's hand.
You find that the crypt gate is now locked.
Turn back and say that, perhaps we should speak to the. Does anyone have the key still?
I think you had it last.
Do I
Or no,
still-
I had it last. Yeah,
Yeah, I think-
so
I
I
think,
give
yeah.
it to you.
I'll sigh as I open up the crypt.
All right, you head down into the crypt.
Cautiously, in case there's still snake down here, but it sounds like there's been a lot of people.
You find muddy shoe prints going all throughout the crypt. You find things in disarray, and in the back room where you battled the basilisk, you can find a veritable charnel house of gore and blood just everywhere. It looks like somebody split the great beast like all the way open and dragged the contents of its stomach out onto the ground, and maybe even dragged some bodies out of the basilisk. Yeah.
One, any sign of Padine's hand, and two, any sign of a fang from the mother basilisk.
You can collect a fang from the basilisk. It's definitely starting to smell now. Like it's really starting to rot. It looks like several people took like axes or pitchforks to the thing's face, and most like the other fang is broken, but one of them is still intact, if a little scuffed. And
Take it. I mean,
the last you saw of Padine's hand, it was climbing into a basilisk.
That's why I was looking around to see if there was any sign of it. With all the smashed little basilisks everywhere. Everyone died. I'm guessing probably not.
You do look into the corner where you found the nest, and you see that it has been obviously burned and destroyed. And then in the other corner of the room, you can see what looks to be like a horrid smelling scab on the ground, where it looks like somebody piled up a bunch of flesh and then dumped a bunch of oil on it and then lit it on fire.
I'm gonna just sigh and say that well, perhaps burning might be good enough. I'm just going to sigh if I can't find the hand, and figure it's probably destroyed. And with that, head back up, just shaking my head.
Somewhere a single middle finger skeletal sticks up.
Yep, somewhere from the flesh pile there is a single birdie finger made out of stone sticking up, silhouetted as Graves walks out, and we'll end the episode there.
Did he happen to see that the townspeople loot all the stuff that was down there? Like, did they upend the sarcophagi and stuff and just take things?
Were you paying attention to that sort of thing, Graves?
I might have glanced to see like what kind of damage they did, but I wouldn't have like.
It does seem like maybe you kind of recall one of the things being smashed open. You weren't the one that noticed the coins, so you don't notice the fact that that the bag is not there. You do notice that several lids look like they've been shoved off. It might have happened in the battle. You weren't particularly cognizant of it.
I'll probably take a look about and just kind of sigh. I'm not interested in grave robbing. I'm just like, man, they really wrecked this place.
I think you hear a small voice in the back of your head say, "Sure you're not. Right."
Yeah, with that, I'll head out.
Okay.
All the townspeople packing up and leaving and lighting cigars with $100 bills that are on fire. The Gilded Age has reached this town and they're moving on.
So, Bohanna, did you defeat a worthy opponent today?
No, I most certainly did not.
No, poor Bohanna was defeated.
I don't even think I can call myself a worthy opponent.
Poor Bohanna was defeated by younglings. Oh man, it just had to be snakes. How about I see you've got some bonds here.
Yeah. I didn't make a fourth yet. I need to do that soon. Let's see here. Probably the one with Fergus, as I was going down or on my back or any various number of those positions. Probably saw him cut me free, and then cut also into the massive snake's head.
Yeah.
And take him down. So I think that one is the one I've moved the most on by far.
Mm-hmm. Seems to be some pretty heavy progress on. I worry about the ability of Fergus to survive.
Yeah, I think he's now a capable warrior. In fact, me listening to some of his advice probably also is part of that as well.
All right.
I'll try to have to use my shield first next time, which will probably get me killed, but okay.
Well, maybe you can make a bond and see if Fergus's advice holds true or if it's total bullshit.
True. Okay, I'll probably do that as my fourth.
Fergus, did you defeat a worthy opponent?
I think I most certainly did defeat a worthy opponent.
You did? You managed not to get bit either.
Nope. The one time I did get bit, it did not pierce my dwarven hide.
Yep.
Fergus has been waiting forever just to lay into a big creature like that and kick its ass, and it was really awesome that you actually managed to do just that.
I thought it was so funny that it got its mouth stuck on your shield. It was pretty fucked from that point on. How about your bonds, Fergus?
Mirai's archery was much better this time, so I think I have changing opinion on that one.
Yep, that's
I wrote
been
a new one for
a
Bayana.
steady thing. Bohana's training seems to have been rushed. I will teach her to be a better fighter. This seems to be an interesting two-way bond.
Yeah.
Graves seems to act before he thinks sometimes. This could be trouble. That's a funny one.
This was proved true today when I got shot in the ass.
Although,
Yeah.
to be fair, you're the one that ran into the den of snakes.
After being shot in the ass.
Everyone get down! Right in the ass.
The other one is about graves and plots.
Graves, did you hunt prey for profit, personal gain, or revenge?
Negative on that one. Hunted prey, but not for any of those reasons. And I do think I may have cleared one bond. Which is, I've seen powerful goblins, but Mirai seems so small that she'd be a snack to many beasts, so I'll try to prevent this. You were literally up against things that could probably have swallowed Mirai whole. And you did very well at not only doing that, but ended up capturing one of them. So,
Yeah,
In
Mirai
light
was
of
the
that,
only
I
one that
think-
actually held it together the entire time. Fergus got it together after getting shot and run in there, but Mirai held it together the entire time.
Mirai did consistently well across that entire thing. So, yeah, I think that if you agree to that, Mirai, I might clear that one.
That is certainly fine. I say in the next session I roll a 2 immediately and head cap one
Yep.
of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've added a new bond, which is Mirai's Raptors are amusing for now, but soon they will be chasing more than chickens. I will convince her that they should be magically bound.
What? I hope for them to be seeking
Probably, I
chasing
wrote
after more than
that when I
chickens.
got back to
I just need to
town,
properly
I was
teach
doing
them
my
which
level.
people they're allowed to chase.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I was literally wrote that when I was doing my level up, and then not 30 seconds later I find out they doubled in size and were out chasing him.
There may have been a note sometime before you guys leave the next day that Gyleon is unable to find the cat.
Revenge.
Yeah.
Mirai, did you ignore danger to aid another?
I rushed after Fergus into the room.
Yep,
Or no, I
and
wasn't.
furthermore, you went and you manhandled or goblin handled a snake.
Indeed.
Got it off of Graves.
Nate Graves, yeah.
So yeah, XP for that. How about your bonds?
I think the one that applies, we haven't really had our time with our employer this session, so the Bajana doesn't really apply. Fergus, I've been continuing with some time, but that hasn't changed at all.
Do you
Right.
feel like that one is kind of set in stone? Like
I
you've
kinda
had that
feel
one
like- I
pretty
don't think
consistently.
I'm gonna stick with Fergus. I think that's what it's going
How
to
does
say.
Fergus feel? Is Mirai stuck by you thick and thin?
She seems to have. She has come into the fight with me just now. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, you can clear it if you wish.
Can't really think of anything where she hasn't stuck with me, so.
Write a new one.
Still need to ask me about your fourth one.
I will. It's it today. I will note that I Graves' enthusiasm for things. There are certainly a number of things that didn't get taken out of the crypt, but one is clear for today. So
Fergus is not into looting the relics of people buried in the past.
Nor should you be, being a proper dwarf. Okay, did we learn something new and important about the world today?
I think that would probably fall under what I asked my weapon about, my father. About the portal being ethereal into different places that you might not return from.
And kind of confirming its existence.
Its existence, yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that one. Everybody can mark XP. Did we overcome a notable monster or enemy?
I think we did. Killed a giant basilisk.
If to be noted, if he had actually
Bit anyone?
bit anybody instead of constricting somebody, it would have been very bad.
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
I figured.
That's why I was pulling
like-
the 10 pluses. I was like 10 plus.
Like solid rock within a couple, like
I bet.
like within a minute. Did we loot a memorable treasure?
don't believe so.
No.
All right. Did we succeed in spreading the reputation of the guild?
We returned what we said we were going to return with to the other town. Don't know if that spreads reputation or not. And this little town knows we killed a basilisk.
I think maybe
I
didn't
don't know
mention
if
the
it's
guild
gonna pay
today,
off,
per se,
But they might not know that we're the guild, so.
I don't know
Well,
if it's gonna
Graves
pay off.
mentioned it.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I think we're thinking of the same one with Graves doing the trip to Arnhem with getting the tip from
Not Arnhem.
Great Telemon the Red will certainly is
yeah.
a big spender, apparently.
Yeah, remember?
That's
we'll
how the
discuss
guild
that
rolls.
later.
So general consensus is
2 yes, 2 no. Haha. Flip a coin.
It sounds like a no then. Did we complete a task or quest taken on in the name of the guild?
I believe so.
I don't know. It's not
I mean, I don't know if it was the name of the guild.
complete. Is a flexible term.
I would say you guys did. You guys, when you took on the job, you let it
Yeah,
be known
be known.
several
That's
times
true.
that you name dropped the Arnhead Adventurers Guild, and all that you really took on the job for was to acquire the Eye of a Beholder and to as like side job find like the antidote for this basilisk poison. You did both. Whether or not that antidote can be produced is, hopefully the case, but I think you fulfilled your mission. It's now up to somebody else.
Cool.
So everybody can mark that down. That's a total of 3 from the end of session.
Good.
Hope everybody enjoyed. I know we're ending a little bit early today. I
That's a
think
good cut point. It worked out well, I think. It'll leave us in a good spot to start right back in when we pick up in the next time.
it's
Yep.
very possible that next week could be our last session for the foreseeable future. We could go one more. I'm not sure. It depends on where exactly we get next week. I want to try to end us in an appropriate spot.
Fergus is 4 XP from retirement.
Ooh.
From retirement level, anyway, I should say.
Oh, poor Fergus.
He can take up a new playbook. He can be the singing warrior dwarf. He can be a bard.
Not sure where I would go with that.
And-
Cleric is the obvious choice.
On your message, Victor. Yes, I'll let you do that.
Actually, he's been burned so many times. You could have him be an emulator.
Yeah.
He's had his skin burned off. He was a zombie for a
All of a
while.
sudden, my beard is made of fire.
You could go Fergus the Dwarf Barbarian, just double up on the I'm beefy.
Oh gosh. I don't know how that would work.
He'd have to throw his armor down, though.
I don't like
Yeah.
my
No,
armor too much.
doesn't one of the barbarians have heavy armor?
There is that plate
Yeah,
of
but I
black
think
and
a lot
Yeah,
of
that's
his.
a choice.
I think there are some of his moves that have some things. I don't know. I think there is a heavy armored barbarian one, but there's a lot of moves that specifically have stuff for like light armor barbarians or no armor barbarians.
Oh, the shape-shifting fighting druid dwarf.
No.
You can turn into a honey badger.
God.
Fergus don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Fergus the Dwarf Earth elemental, now made of rock, bite this.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I've got to go, guys.
All right.
I will.
It was
yeah,
a
I'll-
fun session.